The very tail end. Okay. Let me just make sure this is muted over here. Boy, have I got some questions for you this morning. I've been up all night. It has been a passion-filled awareness evening, morning, whatever you would call it. There's that. And here we go. Awesome. Yeah, they were cool sessions, Dana. Thank you for being there. I appreciate that. Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Friday, April the 3rd, the thirst. You can tell the second, the first. So this was an update from the first, the third. I'll fix that once we start talking here a little bit. But yeah, that's where the huddle was yesterday. And then we did the unblinded, what'd they call it? Influence off, where we kind of pitted heads against each other in prospecting. It was fun. Now I know Jeff Alkivers. He's an amazing soul, 30 plus years in the profession, 700,000 people in his organization. And the funny thing is it's interesting. I don't know what the word would be, but when they were reading my bio, which I don't know where they got it. They didn't ask me for it because they said I've only been 14 years in the industry and I've been 22 years. But the funny thing is a number they gave that was just ridiculous. 300, they said he's built an organization of 300 million. Would I be on their call if I built an organization of 300 million? No. I said, you got one too many zeros in there. 300,000. Yes. 300 million. No. So anyways, yeah, it was good. It was fun. I enjoyed doing that. And the recording's up there on Sean's site, the founder of the company, Unblinded. Buddy of mine, Jared Yellen, invited me to that, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I think they were kind of blown away with our level of dialogue because of the heart-based side of it. Anyway, so good morning, everybody. If anybody's new on the call, would love for you to just drop an N in the chat for new. If you're new to the call, we'd love to send you out some love. I'm just looking at the names here. I don't think I see any. Maybe there's one there. Maybe there's another one. Yep, I was going to say Joan. I didn't recognize the last name, and Lee. I was going to say that. Great to have you all here this morning. If you all would drop some love in the chat for Joan and Lee, that'd be great. And Fernando, that'd be awesome. And so here's the thing. We send out 3 messages each morning. So pick up your phone. If you're on your phone, pick up your phone, send out 3 messages of love, joy, gratitude, depending upon what time zone you're in. If you're West Coast, you might not want to be sending out something at 4:30 in the morning. But the reason we send out the messages and then we drop a D in the chat is because we need to make more space for what we want. And if we send it out and we get some love coming back to us, it's a pretty cool thing. That being said, let's see, what else could we do here this morning? We've got that done. We've got, man, have I got some questions for you this morning? Whew. Change the way you look at things. Man, oh man. Anybody have any ahas or awarenesses before I dive into these? Usually on these smaller calls, I usually like to check in with folks, see if you do, raise your hand. If you got questions as I'm going through these conversations, go ahead and raise your hand. Just hit wherever the hand button is. And when I look up, I'll call on you and have a conversation with you. But yeah, like I said, I sat down at my desk last night about 12:30, 1 o'clock. And yeah, I haven't left yet. I'm so excited. Okay. Let's see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow, 9 pages of dialogue that I had with myself in the last 8 hours. And yeah. So here's a quick question for you. If you're here, wherever your here is, right? Wherever your here is, right? If you were to say, I'm here, where's your goal? If you're here, if I'm here, where's my goal? Is it out there? How far away is your goal? Man, if this clicks in, if that sinks in, where is your goal? You want to now, if your goal is, well, where is my goal? If you're asking the question where it is, then you've also got to ask the question, how far away is it? What happens when the goal all of a sudden is where you're at? You follow me? That's question one. Does that make sense? Drop a why if it makes sense. Not saying you comprehend it, but I mean, I know you grasp it. But doesn't that change the way you look at things? Isn't that all we talk about? If I'm here, where's my goal? Yeah. Okay. Ready? Don't you belong to your goal right now? Which way does the belonging go? Right? When I read the word out of my devotional or from scripture from the app on my phone, the Bible app, don't I belong to my goal? Or does the goal belong to me? Who takes ownership of this thing? Chicken and the egg, right? How much of it is not a part of your goal right now? Right? Brianna is down in St. Thomas and she's still doing self-quarantine. She may have a handful of days. Maybe she's been a week, maybe 8 days, 9 days. Maybe she's still got some days left. But the end day, day 14, when she can come out of self-quarantine, what part of that goal is not with her already? None. It's with her. It's what's coming. It's day 14 will be here. Knowing that that's there, it's you want to reach the next rank in your business. Where's that goal at? Any decision, especially bigger ones, but any decision, the decisions are made based upon the way you think, not what you know. Follow me? Right now, some of you have decisions to drink more water, to do more exercise, right? I'm stuck in the house and I got to do more exercise. I'm going to do my steps. I'm going to walk around the house. I'm going to walk around the parking lot. I'm going to walk somewhere. I'm going to do some exercise. You know you need to do exercise. You know you need to eat better or drink more water or take your nutritionals or do whatever it is you do. You know there's something, but your decision is not based upon what you know. It's based upon the way you think. How many problems have you faced in your life? Any problem you faced was solved with the way you think, not with what you know. Because a problem is an unknowing. Otherwise, it would be a knowing. It's not a problem because you've got the solution. Right? I don't have a problem tying my shoes because I know how to tie my shoes. But a 2-year-old's got some issues trying to tie their shoes. That's a problem. They have to change the way they think. The rabbit going under, this, that, or the other. I never heard any of those stories. At least I don't remember hearing the stories. The rabbit goes in the hole and around the tree and up the whatever. If any problem required us to have a knowing, how to solve. A memory from the past, if any problem required us to have a knowing how to solve it, meaning a memory from our past, could we ever have a problem? Yeah, I gotta tell you, when this stuff starts happening, it's pretty round the bend my mind goes. How would you rate, right? We talk about literacy. Literacy means what? Your ability to read. Literacy means your ability to read something and potentially comprehend it. What would you rate your problem literacy? Let's bring it to our business. What would you rate your probing literacy? This is going to get good here. Hang on. This turned a corner here pretty quick, and it's like, wow. What would you rate your people literacy? How you read people? If I were to, so this is something I'm going to work with my mastermind group, my students. Describe your journey from ignorance to understanding. From ignorance to understanding in your business, and then from understanding to objective truth about your business. Right now, we all have a truth about our business. Good, bad, or indifferent, true or not true. It's our objective truth, the way we see it. So if you were to describe, and this is a big workshop doing this. This is this could be a half-day conversation right here. Describe your journey from ignorance to understanding, and then understanding to an objective truth. Here's the challenge that most people have yet to cross over to. Most, not all, most. And then from being able to describe how you get them to their objective truth. How do you help somebody in your team to go from their ignorance before they started in this profession to their understanding, right? Because what's the challenge with understanding? The more we understand, the bigger we increase what? Our ignorance. Right? The more we know, the more we don't realize we don't know. So when we go from ignorance, not knowing, right? I remember 23 years ago, I was ignorant about the profession. 22 years ago, I got started in the profession as a customer and started really coming up with some strong opinions against it. Right? I used to think it was an arm's reach away from purse snatching. Then I realized it gave purse snatchers a bad name. Yeah, what was your idea of the industry before you got started? Looking back, what did you not know or were not aware of about the industry? Now that you know it, have you ever looked back and realized what you didn't know about it? What information did you uncover that changed your original ideas about the industry? Mine was the efficacy of what it can do for people, the volunteer army. I had such a bad opinion about network marketing. I figured if you ever went to a meeting, you'd see people pushing shopping carts with all of everything they owned in the shopping cart. But see, and I like the a lot, because I can't read it because the name of who wrote it, but I just see a lot when I squint. A lot is a good answer, but if you want to define it and be able to come up with predictability, right? Understanding the human science of predictability, I'd encourage you to define some of the things, what makes up that a lot. Because that is the journey that the new prospect you're about to have a conversation with is about to go on, especially if you're in the younger crowd. Because they've heard about it, they're looking for it, they've done research on it. Maybe you've talked to people who have already been through a couple of network marketing companies, but what has changed for you? And I would describe it in as much detail as you can, because there's going to be a secret that you'll unlock in that detail. I'll explain that in just a second. What allows you to hold your current belief about the industry? What content, what context, what information are you currently using to hold your current belief about the industry? And what challenges that belief? I know when you get on these calls, I have a listen. My goal is to awaken your unsatisfied self. That's my goal. To awaken the unsatisfied self so much, so strong that you become restless. Restless in a way that you can't sit still. And that's what I was last night. I became restless. There was something I needed to learn, something I needed to know, that I became so restless, I didn't go to sleep. Didn't need to go to sleep. Never got tired. How's that possible? You've been up for 24 hours. Yeah, it's easy. I think I took a nap yesterday afternoon for 20 minutes or so. I know Michelle was talking to me about something. She goes, "What point do you remember?" So I have napped. Yes, I have napped. What was your idea of your ability to perform in the industry? You probably have never heard that question asked of you. Maybe you have, could have. Not a brilliant question. It's a good question. Maybe it is a brilliant question. What was your idea of your ability to perform in the industry? To perform any task you're about to do, right? So Leo has to deal with this all the time when people want to come to him to learn how to dance. People have an idea of their ability, right? 2 left feet, this, that, or the other. They have an idea of their ability, and he has to work them through the idea that their ability can be tapped into and they can become better dancers. All right. When I first joined. Okay. Let's see here. What new information made it easier to see yourself succeeding in the business? What new information did you become aware of that you didn't experiment, right? Prospecting, talking, you enrolled your first person, you didn't experiment, and it turned out well, and it gave you a new set of information. See, if you start to look at these conversations, if you start to ask yourself these conversations, it'll help you understand, because where we're going to is the idea of the human science of predictability. That's what I've mastered in, and I continue to master in, is understanding the theory of our profession. Most people think they're working from the theory. They're working from a hypothesis, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Let's see here. What new information made it easier for you? What information still limits your perception that you can succeed? There's a good one. What information limits, what I write down? What information still limits your perception, right? Could be your old story. Could be they just changed the comp plan on you. Could be the COVID-19. That there's a lot of people. Listen, there's two kinds of networkers right now. Those sitting still and those running as fast as they can to keep up. That's it. There is nobody in between. Your business is either going down or it's going up right now. There's just too much happening right now. It cannot stay still. If your product is amazing, people are telling people about your product and you're not doing anything. But the people who are taking action right now, they are acquiring minds and hearts that as people come out of this, they won't even recognize their business. This is better than any product launch any company ever thought about having. Because a product launch happens at an event that lasts 4 days. And the enthusiasm's over by midweek, the weekend after the event's over. Right now, this is happening. There's another 30 days of this going on. Wouldn't be surprised if there's another 30 days after that of quarantine. There's parishes that are shutting down traffic, not letting people pass between parishes. There's cities not letting people pass between cities unless you have a proof of ID and proof of residence. So there's going to be there's There's tremendous change happening. What belief do you hold on to that is keeping you where you're at right now? That's why I just asked that. My goal is to awaken the unsatisfied self in you so you become restless and need to become and need to move because you okay, so you need to be able to move. So again, I wrote this, it's like, so my goal is to awaken the unsatisfied self. That's all my conversation is designed to do, is to find the unsatisfied self in you. Because you're not caring about your current state of mind, and you strive to take action to redefine what satisfies you. That's all we're looking to do in our profession, is to find the unsatisfied self. We can use that in any profession. We can use it in religion. We can use it in dancing. We can use it in becoming a better truck driver. We can use it in parenting and husbanding and wifing. What is the unsatisfied self? Are you willing to look at it? Are you willing to become restless to satisfy it? Or do we sit there like the old dog on the front porch, sitting on the nail on the porch, just whining? Oh, why is your dog whining? He's sitting on a nail. Why don't he move? Pain ain't strong. Doesn't hurt enough. Satisfied. My goal is to empower you to think for yourself, to no longer be told what is true. It's to awaken you so you can figure out what is true. You will arrive at this not because of what you know, it will be because of the way you think. How is your brain wired for inquiry? How is your brain wired to ask questions? That's what this is all about. Change the way you look at things, meaning change the way you think of things, and the things you think of will change. What do you care about right now? What kept you awake last night? There's only 3 answers. What kept you awake last night? There's only 3 answers. Nothing, and you slept well. Worry kept you awake, or your desire kept you awake. If it's nothing, you're not in the frontier. So then if it's desire kept you awake last night, then you've got to ask, are you in the frontier or are you not? And I'll explain what I mean by the frontier in just a second. Let me ask you this. What edge have you arrived at today? What edge have you walked out on today? What are you looking into that there's absolutely no way you know the answer of what you're about to do? If you're not looking into the unknown, you're not at the edge. That desire that you say woke you up and kept you awake, do you know how to answer that? Has it kept you unsatisfied? What are you in search for right now? What answer are you trying to come up with a solution for that's never been asked before? What edge have you wandered out onto? Or are you just wading into the deep end of the pool and there's really no edge? The edge doesn't scare you, it terrifies you. So as we look at these things and we start to ask these things, when was the last time you ventured toward the edge in your life? The edge is, our house is about to get foreclosed on and I don't know where to get the money. Why can't we just be content versus nothing? Because that's like saying, go tell the grass not to grow. The whole universe is designed in movement. There is no such thing as content. Content means no movement. There is no such thing as no movement. Content is an easy way to saying I choose not to be moving, and that's impossible. It's impossible in your thoughts. It's impossible in your actions. It's impossible when you sleep. You can go into a coma. Your body is still moving. Not moving is dead. And if you're content, that's just your way of avoiding looking at things. And when I say you, it's editorially you. That's like saying you walked through the day and didn't see a thing. You walked outside and didn't see a thing. You're in your room right now and don't see a thing. It's almost impossible, unless, of course, your desire is so strong it's blinded you to everything else except for what you're looking at. You can be in your room and not see anything. You can be in a fit of anger and not see anything in your room. You can be in a fit of passion and not see stuff in your room. And again, these are my, listen, I don't have the golden rule on any of this. These are just questions that I went through. So I may be totally wrong. God knows I've made mistakes before. On top of that, I'm Irish and a guy. So they're probably all wrong. They're just conversations that I had with me last night. What's the new question you're working on solving today? What's the new question you're working on solving today? What question were you asked yet? What question are you asking today that needs a solution? What unknown are you staring into, looking for the unlimited potential answers that await for you? What unknown are you sitting quietly looking into, waiting for the unlimited potential to come back to you? How many of you are standing in a place that was not even in view 2 months ago or 5 years ago? I think a lot of you are in that place. I think a lot of you are standing in a place that wasn't even visible 2 months ago. So how is that possible? If you're standing in a place that wasn't even visible 2 months ago, how did you get here? It was standing on the edge, constantly looking into the unknown, asking questions, striving to figure out what is out there. What's out there? Because if this was not visible 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 5 years ago, how could the unseen show up? Because you were going in an unknown path. What happens when you sit down across from a prospect and you're looking to take them to an unseen place? Can you make it safe enough that they're willing to take the journey? How big of a step are they willing to take? Some people are willing to take a leap. Some others will take a baby step. Some will take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Here, you ready for this one? Are you on the frontier of discovery of your business? Well, now, wait a minute, Sean. They say in our profession, we don't need to reinvent the system. There's a simple process that we should use, and we should follow the scripts, and we should follow all of this. Okay, you're absolutely right. Not saying to not do that. My question is are you on the frontier of you? When you think of the frontier, when you think of the old West movies, when you think of people going out to the frontier, what's some of the things that come to mind when you think of heading out into the wild, wild West? Was it orderly? Was it neat and organized? Or was it messy? Trail blazing and all of that stuff. So are you on the frontier of your business? Right now, we've all been catapulted right now in this moment, all of us, anybody who listens to this in the next 6 months, we've all been catapulted into the frontier of our own lives. And like the early settlers, we are looking at abundance from a limited supply mentally. Yeah, danger, Will Robinson. As we sit here, we just were all thrown into the frontier. None of us have ever been here before. This is the frontier. It's messy. Hindsight is 2020. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. This organization should have done that. They should have done this sooner. Hindsight's 2020. We can see perfectly our mistakes of the past. But the frontier is messy. We're looking at abundance. There are people who are absolutely crushing it. Right? Paper manufacturers are crushing it. People who make masks are crushing it. People who make all of these things, health supplies, ventilators, they can't make enough ventilators. It's a shame we need them. But there are people who are absolutely having their most unbelievable success right now. They never even, there was nothing on the horizon that they could have even ever predicted that they would ever have a boom like they're having right now. When did you think that owning a technology stock like Zoom would be, oh my God, everybody would be using it? There's some senators who are getting their hands slapped because back in February, they were in high security meetings and they sold part of their portfolio and bought technology stock. Well, now they're getting their hands slapped for possible insider trading and could do some federal time. But right now, we've all been catapulted into the frontier of our own lives. And like the early settlers, it's messy. And we're looking at this unlimited abundance of opportunity from a limited mentality. Why? Because we've never been here before. This is the frontier. It's messy. You're going to try things and it's going to fail. What did it take for a man to look at the desert of Nevada and build Las Vegas? How many people called him crazy and nuts? Here's a question for you. What boundary are you moving towards? What boundary are you moving towards? What boundary are you bumping up against? It's one thing to stand in the forest and say, where's the edge of the forest, but never move towards the edge, never move, take action. Because in the movement, you're going to eventually show up at a boundary somewhere. Are you at a boundary right now in your life? How many of you knew what question to ask, but it turned out to be the wrong question? How many of us remember when we were little, we were told the moon was made of cheese? So what if we asked the question right now? How many of you, if you've asked the question, what kind of cheese is the moon made out of? If it's made out of cheese, what kind of cheese is the moon made out of? Well, that would be the wrong question to ask because we know it's not made out of cheese. Now, I can't 100% prove that because I haven't validated it, but I'm only taking other people's words for it. Yes, Swish, that it's not made out of cheese. So how many times have we asked the question, but it turned out to be the wrong question? Any of us ever do that in prospecting? You know what the wrong question might be? Hey, do you have enough free time? How many of you would ask that question now of somebody? And it would seem absolutely asinine to ask somebody that right now. Hey, listen, do you have as much free time as you like? You want to know a good way to get shot? Go ask somebody that question right now. Why did it ever make sense then that we could ask that question a year ago? I dare you to ask somebody, do you make as much money as you'd like to? Do you think you're going to trigger the amygdala and you are absolutely you're not even going to you will enter into a frontier that you will get shot? You will be escorted to the door? See, if the questions didn't work back then, or at least we thought they worked, but we know they definitely don't work now, what new information have you gathered that allows you to be of value? This stuff is changing daily. Do you know how to ask boundary forming questions? Do you know how to find out how far away somebody is from their boundary? Do you know how to ask how to find out how close they're to their boundary? Do you know how to ask the question in such a way that it moves them to the boundary so they can see the next area of life, the next opportunity of life? A lot of prospecting, a lot of scripting, a lot of conversations never move people to their boundary. Or it moves them so far over their boundary, it makes them scared. And what does a scared mind do? Nothing. It retreats. You're trying to break them out of an addiction. And what does every addict want? Just one more hit. And they'll go back to the hit of the old story. And you've lost them. They've been in rehab. You've had them in rehab all during the presentation, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour long, however long your hotel meeting is or whatever presentation you're doing. You're breaking them out of rehab. They're starting to see things a little bit different. They're asking themselves questions a little bit different. And then you say one thing the wrong way, throws them over the boundary. They go into the hot zone and they run right back to the old story. Do you know how to develop frontier questions? Frontier questions are different than boundary questions. Questions you can't possibly know the answer because you've not arrived there with any understanding of the question. Can you figure out a way, can you develop a way to ask somebody a question that moves them to the frontier? And a frontier question is something that they've never even heard the question before. They can't even fathom the question, so they can't even answer it. Unless, of course, you can guide them to the frontier. You can show them how to get to the frontier by reaching their boundary. Yeah, there's a lot of science behind this. There's a lot of human interaction. But here's the fun part. If you understand the theory, and I'll explain theory versus hypothesis. If you understand the theory of human science, it is absolutely predictable to be able to move people there. And if you can put them in a predictable, understandable state, you can move mountains if you give somebody just the right pick and shovel. What's your formula to build a question? Have you ever asked yourself that? When you ask questions in your prospecting, what's the formula you use to build that question? Sometimes when I'm doing the one-on-one, the help seat that I'll do sometimes with folks on the call, I'll glance out of the corner of my eye and I'll see somebody go and they'll type, how does he do that? How does he do that? How does he get there? That's because I understand how to use the formula to build the question. It's a very dynamic formula. Yes, I will give you that. But there's a simple formula. What content do you use that stimulates a yearning to learn about an unknown? Some of you are going, who is this guy? Who is this talking? This isn't our little old Sean. He's using words, what? He's putting sentences together like, what? Yeah, it was one of those nights. What content do you have that stimulates a yearning to learn about the unknown? As our area of knowledge grows, so does our area of ignorance increase. And this is where most people lose it when they're having conversations with prospects, is that they're giving them information, explaining to them amazing stuff. They can repeat the comp plan to you by the time they get done with the presentation, But then all of a sudden it sinks in, it sets in the second they can take a breath, and the second they breathe for just a second, they think, wow, I've learned all this stuff. You know what I now know? Everything I know. I now know I don't know a whole lot as well. It is a dance. We talked about this the other day. It is a dance with the prospect. Dancing them to the edge. Letting them hear their music. I would dance with Michelle when we were going out. I'm not a good dancer. But I would dance with Michelle because I wanted to be with her. I would go through the gawky white guy uncomfortableness of dancing. Now, a salsa or merengue came on, that I could handle because I had a lot more practice with that. What happens on the frontier? Y'all have been there. Y'all have been to the frontier, because here's what happens on the frontier. You'll make mistakes you didn't even know that could be made. How many of you have made mistakes you didn't know that you could even make that mistake? That's the frontier. The day you stop making mistakes, you can be pretty sure you're no longer on the frontier. The day you stop making mistakes, you can be pretty sure you're no longer on the frontier. So just look what's happening in your days. What time is it? 7:14. Wow, what did we get through? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What rhythm? What's the rhythm that guides you? What's the rhythm that guides you? What music are you following? What flow are you being guided by? Is it a rhythm you decide to follow, or is it a rhythm that's being thrown at you that you have to follow? Is this rhythm strong enough to allow you to make accurate predictions? How precise can we get predicting the tide? We can predict high tide, but in particular areas, right? In a particular area, we can predict pretty accurate, right? Within a minute or so. If you have enough time, if you've lived on the earth long enough, if your tribe has been around long enough, can't you predict today based upon experience where the sun's going to rise today? Can't you predict where the moon's going to be tonight if you paid attention to that? If celestial bodies, if the law, right, Bob Proctor says the laws of the universe are so precise, we can launch a rocket, fly it to the moon, and predict within seconds of when it would touch down. You watch SpaceX take off, and they have the little clock running down at the bottom. We're about 30 seconds away from max Q, and 30 seconds goes by. Pass through max Q, full throttle. We just passed through max Q, the maximum blah 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 friction on the rocket, and then once it gets through max Q, then the friction starts to reduce because it's going into the outer atmosphere. Throttle back up. They know this to the second. They can launch it. They can time it to within seconds when it's supposed to dock at the space station, and that thing's circling every 90 minutes going around the globe. How is that possible? Because there's laws of the universe. And if those laws of the universe are that predictable, there's certain things inside the human mind that are that predictable as well. This is when you understand the theory of human beings, not the hypothesis of human. Hypothesis is, hell, I have no clue, but I think this might happen. Theory is when you have an understanding of when you can explain clearly what has already happened, when you have an understanding of what's happening, it gives you the predictive power of things yet to happen. That's theory. Can explain what's happened, has an understanding of what's happening, and then with predictive power of things yet to happen. You guys have this. You have it at maybe a basic understanding, right? If you flip somebody off, you can predict they're probably going to get mad. You have this predictive power. You tell somebody that loves you, you love them, I love you, they're probably going to respond with, I love you too. That's a predictive power. You tell that same person, you're full of the brown stuff, and they may get started, it may trigger an argument. So when you understand these ideas of, so let me ask you, what is your predictive ability of what's about to happen with your prospect on a scale of 1 to 10? If you, and you don't have to type it in the chat. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to do a little self-introspection. If you, when it relates to you explaining your business, your company, your business model, what is your predictability? Well, how much of can you predict what's going to happen when you tell your story? What's the source of information you need for this formula to get your predictive ability up? Do you know the sources? Do you know how to enhance that formula, get better at that formula? How do you uncover them? How do you uncover the parts of the formula from, say, micro expressions of a prospect? What can you tell about a prospect when they show up? What can you tell about a prospect based on their last name versus where they grew up? This is why data is so important. Information is so important. Are they a single mom, a single dad? Were their parents divorced? Do you think any of those things influence the conversation you're about to have? But then why don't we understand all of that stuff? Why don't we think about all of that stuff? Why don't we develop some rapport so that we can actually have some predictability in our conversation? What they're going to look for, what would make sense for them to hear so they could actually hear it. Too many networkers are teaching their hypothesis. If you don't know about it, the person, their story, their background, if you don't know about it, you're not using theory, you're using hypothesis. You're just taking a stab in the dark. Now, if your hypothesis holds water and you do it enough and it starts to create some results that eventually start to come to follow the hypothesis, then that can become theory, right? Theory of relativity, theory of gravity. All of these things, when it's theory, it's pretty much the law. There's exceptions to it. But there's influence, there's things that influence those moments, and they're more rare. They're more common than they are rare. The influences that change things. When do you want to develop your personal theories so that you can operate with a confidence, with confidence in the science of human behavior? I'm going to end it there. There's a couple more pages here. Thoughts, feedback, comments. Lots of stuff. I know that's a lot. That's fire hosey. RBP, how you doing?
I'm I'm good. I've got a lot of questions from your questions.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm over here. Yeah, I'm over here going, Brittany just said her hand is up. Let me keep thinking. Ask Brittany.
Okay. Okay, I see the hand up now. I was scrolled up. I like nobody's got their hand up. Hey, Brittany, go ahead.
Hi. So this is interesting. I have two things that came to my mind. I don't think you were on the call yesterday, but you started talking about questions, and Rhonda and I were talking about questions as far as um, questions that I was to ask for Nano to help him and challenge him to think about something in a different way. And I was going to ask if she could assist me with that because it's so seamless to okay, how do I put this? So people who don't know who I am really, and I'm extremely expansive with my intellect, and I just for me, I just want to start attacking people with these questions like blah 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 blah, and it's like it can kind of scare them off. So what I need help with is framing my questions that dig deep inside of them and pull out the answer that is already within them. And part two of what I got from what we were saying. So yesterday I was just sitting and thinking to myself, and I came up. Well, my friend and I we were having a discussion, and I was like, I'm not a network marketer, and I'm not a forex trader. But what I am is a catalyst to other people's awakening because when when I specifically speak to people and when they get into my profession, if they allow me to, I will help them change their perspective on everything. You see what I'm saying? It's not just about learning how to trade. It's not just about trying to build a business. What you have to do, and what I think is the issue when people get into my business, is that everything that they think that they know has to be dismantled first so that we can instill more information into them. A lot of people don't have success within my industry because they're trying to look at it with the same eye that they've looked at all of life. But you can't do that, especially if you're looking people who lack the ability and adaptability to things will fail, crash, and burn in this business. So, what we have to do is we have to teach those people how to shift their perspective first. Everything that I thought that I knew about money does not exist, it's not real, right? So, if I come into this business, the business that I have, with the same thought of how money works, I'm going to fail because now I have access to actually look at money, how it actually works, and see that it's a tool. And I was talking to somebody, y'all, I be getting limpy, so let me know when I gotta shut up. But I was talking to one of my teammates yesterday, and she asked me, or she said something about she said something about, yeah, there's so much unknown on the charts. And I was like, no, 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 no. No, there isn't. And I was like, emotion doesn't belong in trading. And then I thought to myself, and I was like, there's very few places in life where emotions belong, right? Because they will get you tripped up. And I was like, if all you have to do is know that you are not the one in control and go with the flow, and make the best out of going with the flow, boom, you're a successful trader right there. So I'm like, damn, that's really what you got to do with life because you're not in control of what's going on. So what you have to do is just go with the flow of what's going on in life and make the best of it. Does that make sense?
I'm sure in some world.
Sean, what does that mean?
What you just said contradicted every other sentence.
I be doing that sometimes.
You just talked yourself in and out of problems, and you really said, you just confirmed what you were trying to vote against. There's
I
no
don't
way
know.
you
Have
go.
you, have you
There's
seen
no,
it?
you said go with the flow, right?
Oh, you talk about me?
Yeah.
What I believe?
Well, no, what you just said, it's not even what you believe, it's what you said was so contradictory to itself.
Okay, how?
So you said go with the flow, right?
With life or within the markets?
Whatever. You said go with the flow. There's very few places that emotion should exist.
Right.
That it doesn't trip you up. So then what is the emotion of go with the flow?
Accept or reject.
So isn't that an emotion?
Okay, sure.
Well, yes or no?
I don't know.
Well,
But
you
I'm
do
saying,
know.
okay. Well, I
You
don't
know,
know,
you
but I'm
just don't like
saying
to be wrong.
I don't like to be wrong, but I
I
don't
know, that's
mind
why
being
you're
wrong.
arguing.
No, I'm not. Well, where I said, okay, sure, not because I agree or disagree, but I'm saying, okay, sure, because I don't know. And I want you to keep going because I want to understand more.
So if you go with the flow, that requires you to not have an emotion. What emotion do you have to have when you go with the flow?
Ease.
Okay, so there is emotion in that going with the flow.
Okay, so I mismanaged my words.
So and then there was a lot of, if they would just let us. Remember, words don't teach. There's nothing we can teach anybody. Nobody has ever taught anybody anything. We've given them an experience that they can choose to use as a reference point for their own knowledge. So again, when you say, if they would just let me teach them, who's
Did I say that?
Mhm.
No. Okay. I don't remember saying that. I don't.
Yeah, if they would just let us teach them, if they would just let me, right? Because you said I can see into people and have a conversation with them. If they would just listen, I could help them get out of their way.
Okay, in that sense, that's what I said.
So what would
I
you
disagree, but okay.
what would you have wanted to say?
Well, to put it into shorter words, what I want to say is that everything that we think we know, we have to look at it as if it may or may not be the truth. But we look at what we know so concrete that we don't allow ourselves to learn other things that combat that. And we can take this or the potentiality of this little exchange that we just had as a example.
Mhm. So we're in the
Wow, I feel so smart. This is great.
we're in the constant conversation of bringing people to an edge.
Right.
And so the question then becomes is where most people can bring people to an edge. They can light people on fire, but get them excited. The challenge
Mhm.
is do you have the capacity to put the flame out without extinguishing the spark?
Right.
And so
No, I'm just saying right. I don't know why I said that.
no, I hear what you're saying. No, I can understand. Listen, the essence with which you say your words,
Right. Which is
I know whether you're arguing with me or debating at a conscious or subconscious level. So I get that. So we can't teach anybody anything. We just can't. If we could teach with words, how many times would we have to hear something?
and so you saying that, and I believe that's what I was trying to say a little bit.
Okay.
Um, Again,
I believe
sometimes
it was a lot of what you were wanting to
that
say was something like that. I will
yeah,
say,
because yeah,
yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, the vibrations that it came out with didn't translate that.
Right. And so I'm working on that too, as far as getting my point across, being very concise and not leaving a lot of things up for misinterpretation. But because I know that we cannot teach people with our words, I'm not saying that it makes conversation fruitless, because here we have great discourse every single morning, very early, and it stimulates things within us. But our conversations are combined with a lot much more than just words. So if we apply this to our business, if we're going to events and we're going to presentations and we're just looking to talk to people, we're not going to get anything accomplished. That's not how you build a relationship. And this can transcend outside of the business. Say for instance, people who just text me all the time, I don't feel anything. I don't feel as close to them as people who I FaceTime or I talk to on the phone, because it's just different. During text, you can't really pick up on those vibrations and on that energy, right? So you have to, or we have to learn how to embody that feeling and transmit that feeling to people that are at our events and at our prospects while having a conversation,
Would you
kind of in the same way that you do.
would you say we're all connected?
I definitely believe there's an interconnectedness of the world. Yes, absolutely.
So I will share this then. When a text comes across, if we're connected and you develop that skill, you'll be able to hear the emotion behind the text.
Well,
that-
text is always open for misinterpretation, though.
Nope,
It gets lost in translation.
not until
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
develop that skill. If we're all interconnected, I can receive a text from you and look at it and go, something's upset, she's upset, or she's wildly excited about something. Isn't that awesome?
Okay,
It's just a skill.
okay, so let's just say, okay, this is your skill. This isn't everyone's skill.
No,
right?
that's what I'm saying. It's developed. It's not, I developed it over years of practice.
And also, I've people who I've never faces. So when people who I've interacted with in the 3D world or over the
Right.
phone or, in some other form of way, I'm able to accurately assess the emotion behind what they say.
Mhm.
But I'm also thinking about how, as people put on facades in person, people put on facades in text. People can say LOL, 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 and sit there with a straight face and not think it was funny at all. It's fake,
Mhm.
Or they can say, hey, with the punctuation, because they want to give off the impression that they're excited, but because they want maybe the other person to feel excited, but they're not really excited. Damn it, my AirPods are dying. Help me.
Brittany, I think this is the
Help
very
me.
essence of a lot of the questions Sean's asking us today. That's the why it's stirring in your mind. It's all about human behaviors and getting good with human behaviors. And as you get good with human behaviors, it doesn't matter what they're saying or what they're texting. You'll hear it and you'll feel it in a total different way. So this is kind of you on the edge. This whole series of questions this morning kind of got you on the edge of another frontier. And this is why you're going, whoa, hang on, hold up. Here's what I know. And because I'm doing a little bit of this in certain areas over here with the same conversation. And that's a good thing. First of all, let's identify that. That's a good thing. And it's even better that Sean's challenging you with the words he's saying back to you and the tone he's saying it, sitting the way he's sitting, looking at the camera the way he's looking, even though you're not on camera, but you're telling us you need to see people better and we can't even see you. And he's really kind of fronting you out, but he's doing it in such a way that because he knows you're right at the edge of that frontier. And the reason I'm speaking that way to you is that's what you're wanting without asking for it. And that's where we know your strength can be, is when you're pushed into a new frontier, you rise up and break through in a beautiful way. So the questions that you're formulating, the whole thought process you had was basically, and you might not even be consciously aware of it yet, I'm looking at a new frontier, and this is what I know, and that's where I need to stay, but I want to go over there. Does that make
This
sense?
Yes, and it's crazy because I just feel so seen. It's like
Yeah.
I can't even, and Monique said it best. And I've always said, I'm like, I am a walking contradiction. And I don't know why I am this way. And I'm always at the edge, and I'm like, and then I go, okay, too much. No, it's too much, it's too much. And
But
then
a walking contradiction is not a bad thing.
it's
Sometimes,
not. It helps me see things from all different ways, hopefully.
sure.
And you could be standing at the edge, but facing back into the known as opposed to
Right.
facing to the unknown.
That's the way I see her right now. I see her at the edge, but her back looking
And
at
I'm
the
asking
frontier.
you to turn around, and you're like, no, I ain't turning around.
Exactly. That's exactly it. That's
Turning
exactly
around.
what I
And
see.
you're wrong. You're wrong. You should see what I'm looking at. I know exactly what you're looking at.
That's exactly it. That's exactly
You can
it.
argue all you want. I'm looking at what you're looking at, but I'm also looking the other way too, and you won't turn around, but that's okay.
It makes me uncomfortable when I
Sure it
can't
does.
get over on people.
But every time you've ever gotten uncomfortable on this phone call,
Your
I
voice
know, right?
changes.
we see it.
Sure.
Okay, so I have to work on tonality. Got it. Thanks.
Yeah, but
Or
see,
you have to.
if you work on tonality,
No.
it'll never come across. It
No.
can't.
No. You stay who you are. You stay true to who you are. And it's almost learning, and this will be totally contradictory in a way, learning to be comfortable in the uncomfortable places. Learning to comfortably walk into the uncomfort, because you know it's in the discomfort that your growth
Yeah.
changes.
Wow. That goes all the way back to when I first said, hey, I keep having a lot of money and doing stupid stuff, and then not having a lot of money, and then I do the most and get a lot of money again, and I'm like, yay, look what I did. And what is that about? What is that? I don't want to do that anymore.
That's about going to the frontier. It gets messy. You figure it out, and then you go back because you're about to
And
enter into a place.
then I come back into the frontier. Why do I
No.
do that?
You go back into the prairie. You don't stay on the frontier. The frontier is making the new money. When you blow it all, you got to go back into the prairie. You don't stand on the edge, because if you stood on the edge, you'd make more money, and you'd be like, wow, look, I started a whole new cycle.
And you wouldn't
And I wouldn't what, Ashley?
keep going back through the same cycle.
And
Like,
you know what's
I think what Sean was saying is that you get to the same point where you've made a lot of money, and then you're afraid to take the step forward.
I was just
revert
about
back
to
to your
say,
old tendencies.
I was just about to say, I'm sitting up here talking about fear. Why do this is crazy. So I'm sitting out here talking about fear to Rhonda about Nano, right? And what sparks or motivates or feeds his fear, and what his fears are, and how I can see his fears, when whole time we both scared.
It's easier to point out somebody else's flaws than it is to stand in front of the mirror, sir.
So here's a valuable point.
Other people.
But hang on, here's a key point that I have learned and that you just walked right into. And I'm still learning. When you see something in someone, it's a reflection of you almost 99% of the time.
Yeah,
There might be 1%
absolutely.
when it's not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I said maybe people are my other mirrors, and this is why I come into contact with these people, because I see this in them, and by trying to figure that out, I also see it in myself. And I just said that yesterday. Remember when I was saying I had to, it felt like I was forcing people to believe in themselves when the whole time I wasn't believing in myself. And once I started believing in myself, everyone else around me just started to feel that effect. As soon as I stood in my essence, they start to sit in there. So as soon as I break out of this fear of life or being in the unknown, other people around me who are connected to me will also start doing the same, and everybody will just start leveling up at the same time, because someone, how I just said, it has to be the catalyst for the awakening. It has to. Something or someone has to be.
Isn't that a quote? I think that's a quote on my the screensaver on my phone, where it talks about our greatest fear is not, does anybody know that quote that I'm talking about?
Ain't it on your phone? Look at your phone.
Yes, but
Not that we are inadequate, but
yes,
we are powerful beyond measure.
that we're powerful beyond measure, and that
Exactly.
we give ourselves the opportunity to like basically shine our own light. We subconsciously give other people the ability to do it also, in a summary, if that makes sense. I don't know if
The
that
other,
makes sense.
the other thing to realize here too is this is why I have learned, and I don't just speak these words, I mean them. I can learn from everybody. Everybody that comes to me and asks a piece of advice or a question or a mentoring moment from me teaches me. And the reason they teach me is there's a lot of things I'll see in them. And when I'm done with the conversation, I'm like, why did I see this and this and this in them? Is that in me? Am I seeing through that same lens? Is it something I need to be aware of? And that's why I appreciate moments like that.
What is this?
And that's why I love anybody coming into my life. So the beauty, but listen, the beauty of this, Brittany, is look who God's put in your life. Take inventory of the people he's put into your life. So when you look at someone like Nano is striving and moving forward. When he gets stuck, he pays attention, and he gets what he needs is necessary, and then he moves forward. And he keeps going, and when he has setbacks, he works through it, and then he goes it again. As he put Sean in your life. So you're being surrounded by these people that as they speak, and you're like, but hold up, da 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 da. You're actually getting a reflection of not only the things you need to work on, but the potential you have inside of you. That's a whole nother reason I hang on to Sean the way I do.
Mm-hmm.
Not only does he speak into me, but he reflects back to me the potential I have. So when I have those moments, like the last couple of days where my business has gone crazy, and I wake up this morning and I'm like feeling a sense of lack, I can see this and see the potential reflected back to me. Do you see what I'm saying there? Did I lose you?
No, she's there.
Did that make sense, Sean?
Oh yeah, it makes perfect sense to me.
Gina's giving me the yes.
Yes, makes sense.
Epictetus said this: men are disturbed not by things. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them.
Ooh,
It's so true.
that's a good quote. And that's
Which is why we're on here.
I got kicked off.
Aw.
Yeah, I'll just
I didn't do it.
the replay. I know. I'll just have to watch the replay.
Oh, we only said nice things about you. But I said
Only
this:
that would help me so much.
men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Nano,
it's
you
just
got
like,
a question. I know you're getting ready to jump off. Nano, you got your question, then we're going to go to Chris. If you're still here, Nano.
Yeah, I'm still here. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, brother.
How are you?
Outstanding.
Awesome. Well, first off, I want to say I love these conversations. I love being the fly in the room. These conversations, they're so cool. They're really
Fly in the
awesome.
room instead of the fly in the ointment like me.
Yeah, great stuff. I have this question because you said only when walking down an unknown path can you have access to the unseen, and I wanted you to elaborate on that a little bit. But I also wanted to ask, how can we help others walk down an unknown path when they're so uncomfortable? When they're just so comfortable walking down the known path that they know, how can we get people to switch over from the known path that they walk on to the unknown path where the unseen is at?
Great question. So I'll answer the second question first. Rhonda was on the call with me yesterday where we were doing the influence off, me and Jeff Alkibers. And so since I showed up on the call early, I got to go first in my presenting. We had to go from a hello to a yes. Hello to a yes, and we had 15 minutes. And I did it in 6 minutes and 50 seconds, but nobody was really counting or remember. But Rhonda, what was the thing that the moderator came on first and he was absolutely blown away by? He had never heard it before.
oh, had never heard the 3 questions. Do you have permission to help, permission to make you uncomfortable, and permission to take you out of that uncomfortable and into a comfortable place? It blew his mind. Like he got up and walked off camera.
So, because he said, first of all, you asked, how long do you have for this conversation? He said, so you set the time. He said, but then you asked these 3 questions that he says, I'd never heard them asked before. So I refer back to those questions because you said, how do we get somebody off of a path they know onto an unknown path? Well, what is it going to require in their mind to get to the unknown path? Uncomfortable. All you do is ask, is it okay if I walk you down a new path? Is it okay for me to show you things? Now, you don't have to stay there. That's take them out of the uncomfortable feeling. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Nano, we're going to have a conversation today, and I'm going to talk about some things maybe you've got some reference points on. Maybe you've heard of them before. I'm sure you've heard of trading, and I'm sure you've heard of technology and back office and people leveraging things and making trades. But it's the difference between knowing about it. It's the difference between looking at a hot air balloon and being ever riding in one, or watching somebody jump out of a plane, or being the one that jumps out of the plane. So is it okay if we go on a path? Is it okay if we go on a new path that might make you a little uncomfortable? Because if it makes you too uncomfortable, guess what you get to tell me? Stop. So that was the second question. I forget the first question. It was a good question. What was the first question you had?
I just said if you could elaborate a little bit on what you meant by it.
So it just means that we can get people to the edge. We always get people to the edge, but the problem is we bring them to the edge with their back to the edge. And if your back is to the edge, do you know where the edge is? No. But if we can walk somebody to the edge, at least they can see it and they know where it's at and they don't have to be so fearful. But if I'm constantly, right, if I got to do a trust fall with every prospect I have and they got to fall backwards into my arms, what do you think the chances are they're going to fall backwards into my arms? I'm not here to catch them. I'm not here to be your savior. I'm not here to be your guru. I'm not here to be your sponsor. But if you choose to let me be your sponsor, then we've got a whole nother conversation to have. But right now, it's about information, and they don't need more information. They need to take the information they have that's running around in their head on the squirrel cage, and can they get it out? Can they see that they could lay out what they currently know to step into the unknown to have something that they want? And they need to know that they have enough capacity, enough capability, and enough whatever it is they need enough of to get started. And once they get started, then I can feed them. But why am I feeding them before they get started? I'm the one that loses everything. I'm the one exhausted all the time. I'm the one that's frustrated all the time. They go home, they go back to their old story and go, man, that guy was pressure. That guy, man, that guy needs a drink.
Nana, would you like a really good example?
Yes, please.
So yesterday when I was watching Sean do this, and from my perspective, so that would be if we were sitting there talking to a prospect and you're saying, walk him down this road. He, and was it you and the other Sean, or was it Jeff and the other Sean?
It was Jeff and Sean.
Okay, Jeff and the other Sean were talking, and they were in their 15 minutes. And so as far as I'm concerned, I'm sitting at the screen like he's trying to get me to say yes in 15 minutes. That was my thought process. And he made one comment, and that at that one comment, he had my back to the edge. Actually, he had my front to the edge. And as he kind of started talking, I was like, man, I don't know. So I'm turning my back to the edge. Now there's the edge of the frontier. And I'm like, man, I don't know. And he said one comment. And because of my past, I turned my back to the edge and instantly was like, there's nothing but darkness and hell all behind me. I got to run away. And I ran away. Didn't I, Sean? Like that.
Yeah, it was, yeah, you grabbed onto that tiger.
I did. It rushed in all these old emotions. So the 3 questions, and cross-reference that with human behavior and watch the person. That will help you lead anyone and everyone to the edge of a frontier and into the frontier. Does that make sense? That come across right?
Yeah, it makes sense to me, 100%. I like that a lot, Rhonda. Thank you for that. Sean, I actually have one more question that actually brewed up as you guys were speaking. So, for example, for myself, right, I've been walking down an unknown path for a good amount of time, and I've seen a good amount of things, but sometimes I feel like when you're walking down an unknown path, that unknown path now becomes a known path. How can you turn it back into an unknown path where you still have access to the unseen?
So Paulo Coelho in the book Manuscript Found in a Cross says, he says, failure ends the instant you enter back into an interesting battle.
You said failure ends?
Failure ends the moment you enter back into an interesting battle. The unknown becomes known when you recognize it. And so how do you know the unknown? You got to go do something you don't recognize. Talk to more people, right? If you talk to 10 people a day, talk to 20 people a day. You don't recognize that. If you drink two bottles of water a day, drink 3 bottles of water a day. If you dry yourself off in the shower, different every day. See, that's not these, we don't have to make these finding a planet awarenesses. You don't have to go discover gravity for it to be an unknown. Dry yourself off differently. Right, the thing that you guys were all doing, Bob Proctor suggested, right, with your non-dominant hand. That's an unknown. Walk into a meeting room backwards. That's an unknown. Challenge the status quo of the status quo.
I really like that. I remember I had a big breakthrough over the summer. I remember because you was like, Nano, tell me when was the last time you did something that made you uncomfortable? And it was a good question because I was like, man, I have a while without doing something that makes me uncomfortable. And I started doing them and boom, big breakthrough came. So I feel like I need to do that again. I definitely have to do that again. I want to start doing things that make me uncomfortable again.
Yep. See, because now you do your morning calls and there's what, 500 people on it? What's the numbers? 500?
Yeah, like 500-600.
So 500-600. So that's become comfortable. Could you imagine if your second day 500 or 600 people were on? You're wearing your brown pants. But now it's not an issue. So, but now the challenge is part of the mindset is am I reaching all of them? 500 people get on, 2 people make a comment. Now they'll all throw in because again, community creates momentum. But are the 500 people all rank advancing this month? If they did, you wouldn't be on this call. And not because I have any solution or because you don't love me, but it's you'd be so busy with your business. So now all of a sudden it's become comfortable and 500 people get on, become comfortable, and they chit chat with each other as you're having conversations and you're doing your best to give your value, give your information. How long is the silence on your calls?
I'm not sure what that means.
How long have you stopped talking before somebody freaks out and you start seeing stuff in the chat? How long can silence sit on your call? You want to talk about an unknown?
I have to try that.
You don't have to. I'm just saying it's those things. It's hard to have conversations with 500 people. Here we have 52 people and it still gets a little sideways. 500? You got to have your crew. You got to have the people that because you just can't go, okay, so who's got a question? I mean, I'm here. We're sometimes here for 3 hours on these calls.
Yeah.
I love it because the breakthroughs normally don't happen until after an hour. So just the unknown can be so simple. You want to see an unknown real quick? Stand up and turn around. I've done that to you before. Just stand up and spin around where you're standing. Well, that's stupid. No, it's not stupid. That's the unknown. That created a whole bunch of new neural pathways. It changed everything in his body. It changed the way he's hearing information right now. Something as simple as that is an unknown.
Spinning.
It doesn't have to be difficult. Y'all get this? Unknown doesn't mean we got to go find a planet or develop gravity or figure out the quantum mechanics. Unknown is unknown. Love you, brother. Chris, we got you, Elite C Porter.
What's up? What's up? Good morning, Sean.
Good morning. Good morning.
Appreciate you for this. So one thing that really caught my attention was when you were speaking on those frontier questions, right? Those frontier questions. But then while Brittany was talking and she was saying, like, when you see something in someone else, it's a reflection of you. And I kind of connected that with like the frontier questions because they wouldn't, like, it wouldn't necessarily come about if they already knew where they were going, type of thing. They wouldn't necessarily have that frontier question if they already had an answer to it before. So when she was saying, when you see something in someone and it's a reflection of you, you only see that because you've been through that or you experienced it or whatever the case may be. That's the only reason why you kind of see that. What I really want to know is what helped you understand more of the theory of human science.
So in order to make what I call it predictive ability,
Mm-hmm.
it takes thousands of conversations. Right? So tell me about your accent. I heard 2 accents in there. I heard a mother accent and then I heard New York or New York or Jersey. But what I heard I heard a mother tongue, but I heard a New York. What's the mother tongue?
Wow. It's really, really mind-blowing that you said that. You're good. Oh, man. So I was born in West Africa in Togo.
Okay.
And I live in New York. Yeah.
Okay. So I heard Togo come through. I didn't know it was Togo, but I heard that and I heard the New York. So that tells me that either you're born, and then you just told me you're born in Togo. So you come with a preset of disposition, pre-wiring. How old were you when you came to New York? Were you in your teens or were you a child?
No, I was a child. I was about turning 7.
Okay. So you had programming there and then you had reprogramming. So there's still a part of you that's wired in. How old are you now?
I'm 20.
Okay, so your brain's still going to be growing and maturing till you're about 26. They say 26 to 30 is when it starts to finally get set. So you've got more time here than you do there, but you still have the programming that you haven't been able to unwire called the Togo accent.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's old programming that still exists inside of you. So this whole idea that when you start to hear people and understand them, you understand that he runs off of 2 programs. And I got that just from listening to his conversation. So that's how you understand.
Hold on, can you run that back for me a little? You said this whole idea of understanding people. I understand that they run off 2 programs.
Well, you run off of 2 programs. You run off of
Oh,
Togo
okay.
and New York.
Okay, that is very true. Yeah.
Yeah. But see, we've never met before. How did I pick that up? Because you're going to tell me exactly who you are if I know how to listen for it. They're not trying to hide it, but there's certain things that now if we go back and if we replayed the tape, if we did an instant replay, we could actually pick the words that your Togo accent comes out on, and that'll tell me a whole nother story. So if I listen to you for another 30 minutes or so, I could understand the core of what drives you to your primitive upbringing of 7 years old. That's formulated, then that's still wired in your body because those words trigger certain aspects that only come out with the Togo accent. That's
Probably Frontier. Probably Frontier.
Yeah, it could be. But what it is that, again, this is when if you listen to this stuff, somebody would hear it and they would think they would hear the accent, but that's all they would hear is they would hear an accent. They go, "Where's that from?" "Oh, well, I was born in Togo, Africa, Western Africa." "Oh, cool." And that would be as far as it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Me, it's like, oh, wow, there's a whole nother level of story. Right. So the house you grew up in, was there like grandparents there at the house too, or was it?
Mm-hmm. Not as much. For some time there was. It was kind of
that influence is there, right? So
as far as grandparents.
Well, a little bit if they were there for a little bit.
Not necessarily because they weren't. Not necessarily because she wasn't necessarily too active. I didn't really know my grandfather as much. It was mostly just my dad, my stepmother, and maybe cousins and stuff like that.
So let me ask you this: do you know your great grandfather?
No.
His nose is on your face. His hands are on the end of your arms. That DNA that comes all the way through them because it was your great grandfather, your great grandfather, your great grandfather, your dad. That all comes through. Mm-hmm. So the trials and tribulations that ran through their bodies, that ran through their head, are sitting in you right now. And that's where has anybody ever said, "Oh my God, you're just like your dad"?
No, that is actually very true because we act alike. We actually look like twins. So yeah. So,
we've just met, we've just talked. I've never seen your dad, but all of a sudden, how the hell does he know this much about me?
Mm-hmm.
Study a human theory, human science. It's a theory. It's not, this ain't a hypothesis. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm hitting it and you're like, dang. But so that's how you do that. You listen to what it is. You're going to tell me exactly who you are by what you say and not what I hear. But that comes with practice. So just like you ever sit behind a car in traffic and you're going to go, they're going to turn left, and they put on their left turn signal and you go, "See, I told you." That's the same muscle you can build.
Interesting. Those 3 questions that you had, I feel like those are really, really, really change the whole game. Because
you don't have to know anything.
You really don't. You just have to. They just have to be willing to allow you, like how Brittany has said it. Like, as long if they allow me, if they let them teach, if they let me teach them, that's all it really is. They have to be allowing of that. And I literally live with kind of like this person who he's aware, just like the question Nano asked, like, how do we get him walking on that path of unknown? He's aware to some degree. I wouldn't say to the fullest degree, but he's aware to some degree of the type of closing in that he may have due to his parents and etc. And their type of mindset that they have. And he's aware of that. And he took that one step within a business, but one, he even going to allow himself to practice the full skills to be able to be profitable trading. So I was telling him, and I was like, yo, like, do not start trading your real money yet because you don't know what's going on. So he literally went on and did so, blew his account right away, and now he got his refund. But I'm like, yo, you go back, you take this back now, you're gonna just go back to doing the same thing that you were doing before.
Yep.
So it's just like, how do you really, and it's not that he's unaware, he sees it, I wouldn't say clearly, but he sees it to a good extent and good understanding, but he's so comfortable being in that old space that is just like, I don't know, I really would want maybe any type of way to kind of get him out that situation. Just kind of too scared, I feel like, to even take on that new path or to fail or whatever the case may be. And he said in the future, like when he's ready, he'll he'll come back, And I was telling him, like, whether you're ready or not, you still have to be willing to learn and actually know what's going on.
So here's a
nothing
question. Who do you think knows the answer to that question you're asking? How do we get him into the unknown? Who do you think knows the answer to that question better, him or you?
Him.
So then it's real simple. How long would you like to take to get an answer to that question?
How long would I like it to take to get an answer to that question?
Would you like it to take a long time or a short time?
A shorter time.
Okay, so you can ask a tough question or an easy question. Which would you want to ask him?
I would ask him a tough question.
Then you're in for a long journey. Because that's using your intellect. You want to show him how smart you are. What if you asked him an easy question, you got a better answer?
What if I asked him an easy question for him to answer and I got a better answer?
Yeah.
But then it would that wouldn't make him think because he already knows the answer to
How
it.
do you know that? You don't know what the question is.
That's true.
See how the debate goes? I haven't even told you what the question is, and you got the answer to a question I never even asked.
Oh. Well, please go ahead and share that with me.
See, we have the ultimate answer when we step into the unknown, because now you're trying to step into the known with this conversation, and I'm trying to get you to the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm got to kick you dragging and screaming to the unknown. So is it okay if I ask you a question in the unknown?
Yeah.
Sure. So you would ask him, hey, listen, how long do you want to own that story?
That's good. I gotta give it to you, Sean. You're good. You're great.
I've only been doing it for 1,000 years, so hopefully
A Lord good to you.
So he's got this story of trepidation, of scaredness, of thisness, of thatness, to say, hey, listen, dude, all awesome, great. When you're ready, you're ready. But let me ask you, how long do you want to own your current story? Now he has to answer. I want to own it for a long time. Great. Let me know when you don't want to own it anymore. I can help. Isn't that an easier question?
That is very much.
Yeah. Einstein said everything should be as simple as possible, but not simpler. Sometimes we ask complicated questions thinking we're making it simpler. Just ask the simple question. How long do you want to own that story?
See, that goes great hand in hand with actually building a good rapport with prospects. I feel like I tend to just throw the information at them and expect them to fully grasp it right away, when they don't necessarily know what exactly it is that they're walking into. So
no, they don't.
It's only right for them to be skeptical or not really understand and this, that, and the third.
But they're only skeptical because they have to listen to whose information?
My information. It's not their own.
So would they be skeptical with their own information?
No.
Then why do your questions take them out of their information?
Why do my questions take them out of their information?
Yeah,
most of the time,
how smart you are.
That's
and I
true.
say you, this is everybody.
Mm-hmm. And most of the times I don't necessarily tend to ask questions unless the only question that I really ask, I would say towards the end, is more so, that's probably a problem too. But one, are you interested? If I feel like you're a high probability prospect, then I'm going to ask you about your teachability index. How willing are you to learn and how willing are you to change? So depending on that answer and the type of energy you give towards it, that kind of makes me decide how exactly you're gonna come on and take this. But
Could I take you through a 2-minute process? Well, I'll never have to ask you those questions, but you'll be more ready to jump in and do whatever's necessary
yeah,
without me ever having to ask you.
of course.
So, hey, Chris, let me ask you a question. Before we get started, and this is role playing, and you can play as tough or as fun or as simple as you want. Chris,
Mhm.
listen, before we get started, tell me why we're here.
Well, I'm just here to get some information. Tell me that there's something I have to use. So
Okay, so do you want information to make a decision to move forward, or you're just looking for information to make a decision to not move forward? Which, if the information's good, what are you going to do with it? You're going to not use it or use it?
I'll use it
Okay, what would you use it for?
to help my situation.
Cool. And if you could help your situation, when would you want to help your situation? Would you like to do it like this week or next week or 3 months from now?
Well, right now I'm not there. There aren't many jobs and stuff like that, so I'm not necessarily getting paid and everything. So it would be probably whenever I have a job or anything along those lines.
Cool. Call me when you get a job. I don't get paid to inform you. I'm not a teacher. I don't get paid to teach you. If you're not ready, I'm not ready. That's okay. Call me when you're ready.
Mm. Can you repeat those questions, please?
Those questions are based upon the theory of whatever you just said. So why are you here? Why are we here?
No more soda. No. You want juice? Juice?
Why are we here?
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever you say, great. You said to get information. Awesome. Get information. Let me ask you, what are you going to do with the information? If it's good information, what would you do with it? Because I'm going to guess what you'd do if it was bad information. So
Mhm.
let's just assume it's going to be good information I'm going to share you. What would you do with it? Would you take action on it? Are you looking for a reason to get started or an excuse not to? Because if it's an excuse not to, maybe it's because I got gray hair. That excuse works just as good as any.
You said, are you looking for a reason to get started or an excuse not to?
Yeah.
Wow. Are you looking for? Wow.
See, do you understand that this is now the theory of human predictability?
Yeah.
I'm not doing any hypothesis. I'm not trying to I will never ask somebody, how teachable are you? Because you know what? I wasn't teachable. I had a 0.9 grade point average.
Mm.
Somebody asked me how teachable I am. I instantly go, shit, I evidently I'm not at all. So I must not be qualified for this.
Mm-hmm.
Are y'all catching that he keeps the person in the driver's seat all the time? He allows them to stay right where they are comfortable. And if they want to move forward, he'll make them a little more uncomfortable. Are y'all seeing behind the scenes how Sean's doing this?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's like he's just driving the car and he's asking them, do you like it? Do you don't like it? Just letting him feel it and get a feel for it, basically.
I'm going to take you to a place you've never been, which means you're going to think a way you've never thought, feel a way you've never felt, and you're going to have emotions you've never had before. That's a recipe for disaster. Absolute recipe for disaster. I will bring you to the edge, but unless you know I got you by the belt loops, you're freaking running away faster than I get. You've been in the witness protection program. Where'd they go?
Mm.
Well, a lot of people prospect like they're riding a roller coaster. No, come on, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Just get in. And then all of a sudden the people get in and the thing straps down and they're like, what the heck? And they're down the hill and it'll be okay. And then all of a sudden they stop and they see it's okay. And you're like, oh my gosh. And then it's another hill. Sean doesn't do that. There's no roller coaster. Holy crap. Oh my God. There's none of that. He just lets you stay in the line if you want to.
Hmm.
If you want to just stay right there, that's fine. He'll just hang out with you for a little while. He's not going to stay there the whole time. So look, this is all this is he's talking about human behaviors. But see, we get into these trainings and we hear these scripts and we hear these gurus and we hear these people. And now that I see it a little clearer the way Sean does it, I just see people shoving information down people's throats. And I'm like, what the heck? No wonder people can't stand network marketing. Because everybody comes at you with this, gotta tell them like this, gotta ask them this, are you teachable, are you coachable, are you willing to learn something new, it's going to benefit you? No, I'm not. Well, then why are we here? I'm not, I'm leaving. That's what happened to me yesterday on that mock 15-minute session. As soon as that guy said one thing, I was like, I text Sean, I feel like I need to hold my zipper up on my pants. And
I was wondering which zipper you were talking about. And I'm like, okay, it's the only place I can think of a zipper, but anyways.
It was disgusting. It was disgusting to the point where I told Sean, if this is what some of these people in this particular part of the industry are listening to, no wonder I can't watch their videos. No wonder I have to scroll right past on their social media. So Sean's teaching you, for lack of better words, how to even get close to asking for a date. And some of the training people are listening to is way past a first date moment. It's the human behavior of, you've heard people say it 100 times. You go out to a bar and somebody walks up to you and you're like, hey, you want to go to bed? Let's go have sex right now. And they're like, wait, I don't even know your name. That's how you run your network marketing business. And you wonder why people go, oh my gosh. And you're like, I'm just trying to help you make some more money. No, it sounds like you're trying to get me to be your prostitute is what it sounds like. Sean gets a little tickle when I get in this part of my brain.
Because definitely, like, and I understand this too, that when people are told to do something, that's when they're more likely not to do it. You know, it's better off when it's their own decision.
So Chris, come up with it. What's a tough objection you get regularly?
By objection, you mean like what they tell me that they're not?
Yeah, they're not ready to do it. What's something they throw out at you that says, I'm not ready?
More so like either I'm not too sure how it would work, or it might be hard, or I just don't have the money right now to get started.
So if you could handle the money one, would that be good?
Are you asking me if I could handle it?
No, I mean, if I could show you how to handle the money objection, would that be okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Doesn't sound like you're really convinced. So when you are, let me know. Because do you think there's a chance that I might give you an unknown solution? So tell me you don't have money. So we've been through the whole presentation. It's ready to get started. It's $200 or whatever it is to get started in your company. It's about $200 to get started. Tell me you don't have the money.
I mean, I don't have the money right now.
Money for what?
To get started.
What would you want to get started?
Well, to get started trading and making money.
Okay. So why would you want to make money?
To be in a better position I am now.
Okay. So if you don't get started, will you be in a better position? I'm not saying you still got to get started. I'm just trying to get clear, because you said you really wanted to make a change, and you may not have the money, and I totally get that. But if you don't have the money, when's it ever going to change? I'm not saying for you to get started. But if you did have the money and you got started, maybe you don't have the money because maybe you might not trust the system. Maybe I didn't do a good enough job explaining how, if you follow the systems that we have, and if you let me kind of walk you through it, and let me introduce you to some other people on the team to walk you through it. Because right now you don't have the money because you're afraid you're going to lose the money. I don't want you getting started, even if you had the money, if you think you're going to lose it. Would it be okay if we went through the training again so I can show you how? I can't guarantee you a return, that's for darn sure. But can I make it seem like it's more simple that maybe in 30 days you at least get that money back? Would that be okay if we walk through that again?
It really is all about the right questions. Because something I would tend to say is like, because they'll say, when I'm ready, or when I have the money, da da da. And I tend to say, well, if you're waiting till you're ready, you'll never be ready. Because that was my case. I was waiting till I was ready, and one of my mentors actually ran up the back. So it was like, if you're waiting till you're ready, you'll never be ready, because life is always happening. But you just put that in much better words. Is it?
Well, yeah, because you can throw a grenade in, and some people are tough. Most people around money are not tough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a smack. Well, if you're not ready, you'll never be ready. Okay. Well, I got 2 words for you, and neither one of them's happy your birthday.
Sean, dispel some thoughts on, because I saw it in the comments and then Chris just said it. It's asking the right questions. I'm over here after listening to you for 400 some odd hours plus some, and a drive to and from Vegas, going, there's not like all these right questions. Like you got to be this guru of questions. If you listen to Sean, he just asks the same questions over and over. He's not asking, he doesn't have like this plethora of Rolodex. Oh, let me ask, that's the right question. It's the same questions every single time, just said how that person can hear them best. It's human behavior. Everything he has said this morning is all based on, if you take Chris for an example, the way Chris is responding, the way his voice changes, the way the tone and the trajectory change when he answers Sean. And Sean's probably watching the camera as well. It's just these same questions. And so y'all keep saying, oh, it's the right questions. Now your brain's going for, I got to learn the right questions. And you're going to go look up 697 trainings on asking the right questions. You're going to exhaust yourself. This is why, if you ask me what I know about the company I'm in, I know one thing. As far as making money, that's all I know, because that's all I need to know. You're overwhelming your brain because you think somewhere out there is the right question to say to get the right person, when it's all in here. And you might just not have asked yourself these simple questions first. But go back and watch Sean. Sean, am I right? It's the same questions, just spoken a little differently compared to the human behavior.
Chris, if I say up, you say what? If I say in, you say what? If I say hot, you say what? That's all this is. It is so predictable. When somebody gets up against a wall, it is very predictable. And my job is to understanding exactly where you're going to go and what you're going to say is, how do I ease it back so that you don't feel that I'm a threat?
Yeah. So just asking the same questions in the right way for you to best understand it.
Well, it's just taking what you said and turn it around to a question.
That's
I don't
true.
have the money. Money for what? Well, to get started. Why would you want to get started? Well, to be in a better position. What would you want to be in a better position for? So I could take care of my family. When do you think we should get started?
He's too good. Well, not weird, but as I was
No,
writing,
it's weird. It's
no,
weird.
not that. I was writing same question said and I meant right way, but I wrote wrong. Like my brain is just wrote wrong, probably because I'm doing it the wrong way all this time.
No, you've been doing it the best way you knew. You just learned a new way. Don't see, this is where the brain tricks you again. I've been doing it wrong. No, you haven't. Compared to what? Well, compared to this, that's not wrong. That was the best way you could. Now you have a choice. You can do it. You can use a little bit of me, a little bit of you, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But nobody's ever doing anything wrong. You were operating at a level 10 when you were doing it. It was the best you could do. You didn't want to go. Listen, did you want to go to somebody and be a 5? You were being a 10. I just showed you that 10 compared to what I just gave you was a little less. This is a little less forceful, and it's all putting you in the control. Listen, I hope you say no to me, because if you say no to me, that means there could be a yes. But you've had people say yes to you. That's called a counterfeit yes. You said yes. You thought you heard a yes. They thought they said a yes. And 2 days later, it was a no. Well, you said yes. It wasn't a yes. It was a counterfeit yes.
But Chris, what he just gave you, instead of saying, I did it wrong, the way you file this away, so to speak, in your brain is, okay, well, I've tried that way and it's not as successful as the way Sean just taught me. So as your brain goes back into the past and you sit down with someone and your brain goes, I got to go to my old pattern, you can quickly go, the old pattern wasn't as successful as this new pattern. Let me stop that old pattern. Let me get up, turn around, spin around, and sit back down. Like literally, physically. Let me go do something, turn around and sit back down, and make the brain go, what'd you just do? Exactly. Because that path got me to here. So you Rolodex this moment away instead of telling yourself I was wrong. No, I wasn't wrong. It's just, it's like what Maya Angelou said. When you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That wasn't a convincing,
No, it was. I'm just really taking it all in. And at the same time, look at the process where the next person I could get on the call with and utilize this. Oh man.
Practice. Do you have children?
No, I don't.
Do you have kids around you? Do you have any kids around you?
Yeah, in a sense, but I actually
Or
have
siblings?
The individual that I was talking about. He lives in a house, so I'm definitely gonna ask him that question.
No, what I was going to tell you is start with nothing related to business. If my 8-year-old daughter came down right now down the hall and woke up and said, Mom, can I have cookies for breakfast? I could utilize this same protocol on answering her question for cookies for breakfast. I would never tell her no. I could always say something like, let's talk about that. And then I'm going to ask her a question. Why would you want cookies for breakfast? Well, I want cookies for breakfast, blah, 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 blah. And do the exact same thing. So I would say, take exactly what you learned from Sean, utilize it in a situation that has nothing to do with prospecting for your company. And practice. I practice on my 8-year-old daughter all the time. I do. I practice, like, because let me tell you something right now. If you can talk to a kid and get a kid to walk through their own thinking and do the right thing that they need to be doing, you can talk to any adult you want to, because kids will slap you with some truth in 0.2 seconds. They ain't messing around. They ain't got time to mess around. You interrupting their Lego time, and they need to watch a movie. So you practice with some people that you have nothing to do with a business, and then watch their reaction. I sat with my daughter the other day on the notion of, I'm never going to tell her no. And she had toilets to clean, and she had a dishwasher to unload, and she had her reading homework to do. And she walked in and she said, can I play a video game? Sure, you can play a video game. Let's talk about that. And we began a conversation. And by the end of the conversation, she goes, you know what? I think if I scrub those toilets right now, but if I do the dishes first, that way I haven't touched the toilets, I can do the dishes, clean the toilets, and then after that, my reading won't take so long, and I can, play my game. Okay. And do you know, in 45 minutes, my dishwasher was unloaded, the bathroom toilets were cleaned, all the mats had been taken outside and cleaned, and she had gotten her reading homework done, brought it to me to be graded, and was sitting down playing a video game.
Wow.
And I never told her no.
That's great.
So practice what he's teaching you. If you have spouses, great opportunity to practice. If you have significant others, and it's not manipulation, it's learning how to hear them better and speak to them the way they need to be heard and spoken to. Same questions. Really easy.
Yeah, this was,
Chris, real quick, one thing you learned, one thing you liked.
one thing I learned was to put the person you're having a conversation with in the driver's seat. Put them in the driver's seat. And I forgot who said it, but it was just like, having them fill out a card. Like let's say you go to a car dealership and they're gonna ask you, what are you looking for? You're gonna tell them what you're looking for, like, okay, let me get that for you. Then they're gonna ask you like what maybe you might want with it or whatever the case may be. And then they might ask you if you want to test it out. Then when you test it out, while you're testing it out, and I've never been to one, but I could just assume that they're probably asking you, hey, how do you like it? How do you feel about it? How would you feel driving, and et cetera? It's just making you feel comfortably in the driver's seat until you now come to the decision rather than them helping you make a decision or make a decision for you.
And what's the perception? What's the perceived conversation when we talk about car salesmen? Are they pushy?
What's perceived? Some might be pushy, but I don't kind of see it like that because they didn't go out looking for you. You came to them.
No, but as soon as you show up, they're hovering all over you, right? You ever walk into a store and somebody says, "Can I help you?" And what'd you say?
That's
"No,
true.
just looking."
Yeah.
So if you can keep your prospect from going, "Nope, just looking," just keep that in the back of your mind, because you have that instant response. Somebody walks over, "Hey, listen, welcome to the store. Can I help you?" No, shit, Jesus, I'm just looking. Thank you. Think about that as you go sit down with your prospect. Can you just have a conversation like they're your bud?
So that would kind of have to, not kind of, but the approach would have to change, because with my business and trading and everything, like we have to more so, you're not just gonna
Number one product. What's your number one product?
Products.
Yeah.
I would say the scanner, harmonic scanner.
Thanks for playing.
He got you fast on that one. Sold him on a product. Wasn't supposed to do
Everybody
that.
everybody on the call knew the answer to that one. Your number one product is the solution you're about to offer.
Not what you sell or have.
Yeah.
It's never about the product.
It's never about the product. How long is it before somebody knows the name of your company in your presentation?
Maybe a good 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah. Ask me.
How long is it before it takes for them to know that?
They never hear it.
Chris, it took me 6 months to ever hear the name of Sean's company. 6 months of listening to him every day.
So now what if they ask?
Let me ask you, if you heard the name of the company, would that be a reason to get started or a reason to quit?
I don't know, kind of depending on the person.
So if you never heard the name of it, does that make you feel good about it, or does that add a whole bunch of other questions? Let's not even worry about the name of the company till we figure out if now is the right time for you. Because now, if now's the right time, then we need to go to the next level. Then I can tell you more information. But right now, let's see if this is a fit for you.
All right. How do those shoes feel? Are they comfortable? Are they tight?
Man.
Want another pair?
Oh man.
Listen, are you building your name on whose name's on your mailbox?
Not mine.
Well, but let's say you own the house.
Uh-huh.
You got mail. Whose name would be on the mailbox?
My name.
Then why are you building the company? That ain't the name on your mailbox. God forbid the company goes out of business yesterday. They're not. They're good people. They're great souls. I know Jason. I know Matt. They're good people, good leaders. I don't know the owners, but I know Matt and Jason. They're good people. But if God forbid the company went out of business yesterday, you spent all this time building what? something that ain't there.
That's true.
Hmm.
Then you still have your relationships with the people. So
Ah,
that's true.
yeah, there you go. How long have you been in the been with the company?
About 7 months now.
Okay. So in 7 months, I had about 16,000 people in my organization. And Rhonda heard last night how they were selling the product. She's like, oh my God, I still can't believe they did it that way.
And that's the craziest story I've ever heard in my life.
So all I'm saying, brother, is build you great company, not picking on the company, not picking on my company, but I got owners who might do something stupid. I still got to take care of my family.
Mm.
How much authority are you putting into something you have no authority over?
That's true.
Snap.
Oh man.
He's like, all I wanted to do was ask one question. Good Lord.
I'm very happy because this answered a whole lot of many questions. And yeah, I have like 4 pages of notes already.
Cool. I'm just knocking the rust off. I promise I'll get better. Ashley, you got your hand up, my love.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Chris. Thanks, man.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Give
Ashley.
me just 1 second. So the question that I had is when you were talking to Brittany about the frontier,
Mhm.
how do you continue to move into the frontier without going back to the prairie, if that makes sense?
Well, going back to the prairie is the addiction to approval.
Okay.
That's the safe place. Now, you may be a frontier dweller standing on the edge, but not moving forward, still looking out there. But now that becomes the known, that becomes the prairie. It takes a lot of energy to stay moving into the frontier.
Can you still see me?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I don't know how to. I'm sorry, somebody's calling me. I'm waiting for them to stop and I don't want to hang up.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm back.
So does that help? Do you so know this? So see if you know this. Do you know what town looks like, and do you know what the frontier looks like? When's the last time you were to the frontier?
Probably yesterday.
So if you were to the frontier yesterday, then you know where you're at right now.
At the edge.
Yeah. Okay. So then that's good. You just got to make sure you're facing in the right direction.
It came right back, unlike the bag.
Okay.
And that's
And
where
then-
journaling comes in. That's where knowing where you're at, right? Checking your compass,
Mhm.
checking your momentum, checking your direction. And the frontier again could be as simple as, do you ever do arm curls a different way, right? Twist them at the top or do something else different, right? To activate different muscles.
Mhm.
It's just something as simple as that takes you to the frontier.
And see, I think when you said that earlier, that was something that I've been trying to like wrap my brain around, to where you talk about doing things out of your comfort zone doesn't have to be some like miraculous feat, like you said, trying to discover gravity or like a new planet.
Yeah, or swinging off of the Empire State Building.
I don't know why that's hard for me to like.
Well, because you're a strong woman and you do so many of things that are unknown. Somebody has planted a seed in your head that unless you are absolutely going out at like 900 miles an hour, flames on fire, you ain't doing anything new. You ain't good enough. You ain't doing nothing new. Put your watch on your other hand. You want to talk about being like on the frontier for the rest of the day? You'd be like, oh, yeah, exactly. See that?
I'll do
That's
that now.
frontier.
I'll do that now.
That's frontier. It's just simple as that.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, that's Frontier. Welcome to the Frontier. New neural pathways. That- Hell, it'd be easier for you to discover gravity than where your watch over there.
It just doesn't feel right.
That's the Frontier. Because now, guess what? Now you're doing less and being more. Because now all you can do is like that chip on your tooth. Keep rubbing it, your tongue. My tongue is bleeding. Well, stop touching your tooth. I can't stop touching. Right?
Yeah.
Now you can't not feel the watch. Don't even look. Can you feel the watch on the other hand? Oh, hell yes.
Yes.
You couldn't tell it was on the other one. You go, do I have my
No.
watch? Oh, yeah, it's there.
No, not at all.
That's the Frontier.
That's crazy.
Listen, I'm a farm boy from Ohio. I can't give you complicated shit to do.
Yeah, that's like the shower thing. I did that in the shower. Ooh, it's crazy.
But even I don't know. Because even like the one time that you had said about trying to like dry off differently,
Yep.
I tried that, but it's not, to me, it's not the same feeling as, for example, this is. Like I'm fully aware that this is on the other hand. When it was on my left, I could barely tell that it was there.
Yeah, it's chicken and rice.
Oh.
Just put a little bit of that
Oh, a
great
little
stuff
bit,
in there.
okay.
Just a little, I mean, literally, maybe a teaspoon of
And
it.
then I had one more question.
Yep. Go ahead.
So lately, I really don't know what it is. My sleep patterns have been like crazy. Like I'll go to bed at like, I'll be up until like 2 and I'll wake up at like 6 or 7.
Okay.
And it's weird because I feel like I have a hard time focusing.
Awesome. What'd you put in your journal before you got in bed?
Basically to be more focused. And that's what I was working on yesterday, like last night before I went to sleep.
So
Was just planning out stuff
did you
so I could make sure that I had
did you
it
ask the
together.
affirmation? Did you ask the affirmation? Why am I so good at sleeping? Why am I so good at focusing?
No.
Then that's why you got no focus and your sleep's all messed up.
Huh.
You're either going to run the race or the race is going to run you.
Run you.
And you're entering in breakthroughs. You're entering in new pathways. So the old story's going, well, we can't screw that up anymore because she's working out. She's doing the stuff that she said she's committed to that. So we'll screw up something else that she's given us control over because she hasn't taken control over it.
Wow, that's literally what I felt like, because I felt like for me, I was building my discipline, working out, and then I was like, okay, I've got discipline working out. Why is everything else a mess?
Mhm.
Not a mess, but
Sure. No, a mess. Call it what it is.
a mess. And not as disciplined. It has been driving me nuts.
This is called predictive ability. I just said it and you're like, oh my God, you're so right. It's like, don't tell me, I told you.
Oh, that's crazy. Huh.
My mind's racing right now.
Yeah. It's like, how he do that? Because it's predictable.
Here's
almost-
what's crazy. I've listened to you for 400 some odd hours and more. And it probably took at least 350 of those hours for me to see how simple it is. Because I wanted to complicate it because I kept telling myself, oh, I could never be a guru. I could never be this. I could never be that smart. I could never. And in actuality, I have everything I need. And it's just that simple. And now I'm watching this conversation unfold right now, and I'm like, what took me so long to get some of this? This is crazy. So good.
And that's what I've been trying to figure out too, because it was like, I know when Brittany would talk, when she talks, I'm able, and what Sean, you were talking about like hearing people, I think I've gotten better at that, to like hear what people are saying without them actually coming out and saying it. And I was like, all of this stuff is simple, but why is it so hard to simplify it, if that makes sense? Because it's like when you maybe when I took this perspective out or took a step back and wasn't listening to myself and listening to somebody else in a different way, or at least getting out of my own maybe previous thoughts, to where everything that you said is so much more simple than like we make it out to be, or not as complicated as we assume it has to be.
So the questions I didn't get to, the rest of the pages, let me walk you through these. Are you willing to do whatever it takes? Listen carefully. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to not fool yourself into thinking something that's true, but it's not? Or into something that is not true, but it is? That's called the scientific method. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to not be fooled, to not fool yourself into thinking something is true, but it's not? Why can you hear Brittany and go, "Oh yeah, I could hear all of that"? Why can't, I don't know why she can't hear it. It's the same reason you can't hear it, because it's you're trying to believe something that's not true, or into thinking something's not true and it is.
I don't know how to answer that question.
I know. So, but you got to sit with it. So what are you telling yourself that's not true? What do we see in you that you don't see in you? That's what you're telling yourself that's not true. We see you as disciplined. We see you as all of this stuff, but you're going, well, yeah, but now I can't sleep. And now I wake up at stupid times. That's your problem. Here, you ready for this? It's you and nature. That's all there is. You and nature. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
You can argue all you want, but nature does not argue with you. It'll set you right if you're wrong. Nature is judge and jury. You can't fool Mother Nature. MLM is you and nature. If your results are crappy, it's nature showing you you're doing the wrong thing. Nature's judge and jury, not the prospect. The prospect is the nature. Can't take them out of nature. You can't give them more credit than they deserve, and you can't take away the credit they got. It's natural. Natural, logical conclusion. What's the next step? What bias are you bringing into this moment? You're bringing in the bias that you don't sleep well, that you go to sleep late, you wake up early, and blah, 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 blah.
That's a bad thing, but it's not.
Do your methods and tools you use allow nature to manifest in the best way it can? Smack. So that you can allow the guidance to where the truth lays.
No. I can answer that now. No.
Then something needs to change, right? Either the method or the tools.
Mm-hmm.
Does your conversations allow for the guidance to where the truth is for your prospect?
Can you say that one again?
Sure, I could. Does your conversations allow for the guidance to where the truth is for your prospect? Too many of us are speaking our truth, going, here's the truth, here's the truth, here's the truth. You know what? They have their truth. And if they find their truth, guess what? They'll believe in you. Ooh, snap. What's the possible truth that can exist in a prospect? Happy, sad, frustrated, motivated, unmotivated, scared, confident, not confident, sure, confused. Challenge is we're not hearing those. We're running by at 90 miles an hour going, get in, get in, get in. I don't know why they don't get in. Oh, he's snarky sometimes. Did you type that?
No.
No, I know you didn't.
Oh.
Pink robe lady typed it. What if, well, here, look, this one will keep you up tonight. What are the limits of your applicability of your skills? What are the limits of your ability to apply your skills?
Well,
Your ability to go to sleep right now kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But you've been able to sleep in the past, so you're not applying the skills you have to go to sleep. You're letting something else control it. When do your skills run out of steam? or relevance to the presentation or the situation. Most people don't have the ability to handle an objection. You don't have to handle an objection. I don't have any money. Okay, call me when you do.
And that, oh,
What's so hard about that? I can't go to sleep. Well, great, then stay up.
nothing. That's simple.
But I want to sleep, then go to sleep. Well, but I can't, then don't. Stay up. What do you, I'm
But
not gonna
it's
argue
like
with you.
with my personality, it's not like I want to argue things, but I like to debate stuff. So
Sure.
it's like when I hear stuff like that, it's like a
You're right. I'm rich. Let's move on. I ain't got time
yes,
for
that's
this.
exactly it.
Ashley, when I asked Sean, I guess probably back in middle of June last year, and actually really asked him in August what it is he was associated with, what company he was in, and what I would have to do to work with him. Because I wanted to align myself with Sean. And he handed me these things and he was like, here, use these. And I'm like, I don't use that kind of crap. And I did. And he took it back. He goes, okay. And I'm like, but I want to work with you. He goes, use these. I'm like, but I don't use that kind of crap. That's the stupid crap. And he's like, okay. And he took them away. And I was like, do I have to use those to work with you? Yeah. Okay, fine. Just give them to me. It was the best. Okay, fine. Just give them to me ever. But he was totally fine with me going, throwing my fit or, whatever objection I had. Oh, are you kidding me? He was totally fine with it. But it allowed me a spot to be able to get into my brain of, okay, if I'm going to work with this guy and get a different result, just take the crap.
And tell me they don't work. That's what I said. Just tell me they don't work.
Yeah. Now, luckily, it all backfired and it all worked in a good way. It all backfired in a good way. But
it's just taking a different approach from what you're used to doing, or how your traditional response is.
So I have a girlfriend that has talked with Sean a few times and sometimes gets nervous to talk to him again. And we were in a restaurant and she's eager to make change, but scared of the change that she's making. And he told her she was about to get up and excuse herself from the table for a moment and run to the ladies' room. And he was like, wait, before you go, when you get up, stand right over there beside the table and spin around like a ballerina. And she was like, what? And he's like, just spin around. And she scoots her chair back and she's like, what? And so she gets up and I'm like, I don't know, spin around. And she goes, okay. And she puts her hand on her head and she spins around in front of the whole restaurant and goes to the ladies' room. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. And we keep talking and talking. And she comes back and as soon as she gets to the table, she spins around again. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And for the next few weeks, her thinking was totally different. I don't even know if she realized it. And we would be out somewhere and she'd look at me and she'd go, oh, and we'd both just spin around in front of anybody like a little ballerina, like a little girl. And our whole day would change. It's that simple. To the point where he finally got my thinking, and I still jump in and out of it by all means. He finally got my thinking. The other day I was talking to him on the phone and I looked down and I told him, and I don't know if he remembers, I told him, I was like, I don't remember which hand I wear my watch on. It felt so comfortable on both hands. I couldn't figure out which hand. I was like, what hand do I usually wear it on? And my brain was like, I don't know. We don't know what you're doing. I'm like, oh, this is fun.
That's a nugget.
Yeah.
And so do you want to know the science behind it? Why I have people spin around or walk backwards out of a hotel?
Sure, of course.
It's to shut down the amygdala.
Your fear and emotion.
The fight or flight.
Uh-huh.
If you're making a conscious decision to do something with your body, you're in the prefrontal cortex. And if it's a fun thing to do, you're in the right prefrontal cortex, which is where the positive neurons in the mind are stored, and the negative are stored on the left prefrontal cortex. And they can actually count. If you've got more negative neurons, you're going to have probably a pretty crappy life, or pretty crappy day at least. And if you got more positive, you're going to have a better outlook on life.
Uh-huh.
So if I can have you do something that laughs, that makes you, that's harmless, but it's goofy, all of a sudden we throw some positive neurons in the right prefrontal cortex, and you come back thinking a different way. And it's like, I want that. Now, all of a sudden the amygdala goes, oh, okay, I guess we're not in this fight or flight mode. I can shut down. The hippocampus can go, okay, whew, I knew we weren't in trouble, but the amygdala is such a big bully. I can't stop it sometimes.
So you're always in a state of fight or flight when you don't need to be.
Right. You're in a state of fight or flight when you go to sleep. God, I hope I go to sleep. Fire alarm, we can't sleep.
And it's funny because now I barely feel the watch on my right hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that little kids movie, Inside Out,
Yeah, that's a great movie.
the animated movie with the little people up in their head and the girl's head and
Mhm.
pulling all the controls. And go watch that movie now. After today, go watch that movie. Matter of fact, I'll probably put it on today for me and my daughter. Go watch that movie and you'll be like, oh my gosh. Oh my God, my little green girl is pissed off today. My little red man is on fire. You know, it'll make it all come together, and you'll be like, you'll hear Sean in the movie. You'll hear Sean in the movie. You'll be like, what in the world? But
Oh,
it's that predictable. That's what he's telling us. The human behavior is that predictable.
so predictable. Wow. Wow. Why do people keep calling me when I'm trying to pay attention?
Because it's the attraction to the distraction. It's the universe saying, if you get the answers to this, are you kidding me? Our story no longer exists.
That's right.
It's just happening to you. It's not happening to us. Because normally when we hear everybody's signal cut out, we go, there's the enemy. This is just the enemy focused on you. You don't want to harm any of us. That I know for sure. So you'll just take the heat on yourself, which is what you've done your entire life. You've always taken the blame or the burden for most people.
Yeah.
It's getting hot in your room, Ashley. I feel it over here. I feel it over here. It's getting hot. It's that whole thieves don't rob empty vaults.
Because your phone has never done this anytime you've spoken in the 14 times you've been on the call, speaking on the call.
That's weird.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
What's happening? So really quick. So it's funny how you're unlocking stuff from the past. So I had a math teacher freshman year. Didn't really always understand this sentence, but it's math. So now we've been told that, you know, it's a math problem by somebody. And so he was one of my favorite teachers anyway, but it was algebra. We have to think differently. So then basically he would make a statement that he goes, well, why did the chicken cross the road? Because he was stable to the baby.
Because he was what?
Because he was stapled to the baby. Again, it's like doing I'm twirling around here, whatever. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, that's what it is. You had to know.
Yeah.
You're meant to look at it and think about it in a different way. I mean, that's a lesson I'm learning anyway. We all have our own, but that was unlocked. I mean, 20, 30 years ago.
Huh.
We've picked up the keys to our own success many times. We've got a ring of keys of success that's bigger than any janitor's set of key rings we've ever seen in our life.
So what keeps you from, sorry, last question, and then I'll stop talking.
No.
With your key analogy, what keeps you from, actually, I'm not going to ask this question because I already know the answer.
Unlocking the door?
Yeah.
Well, you got to find the key. I just only have one key on my ring.
Oh, I'm unmuted. Oh.
I gave up all the other keys. I stopped trying to look for keys. I decided to use the master key.
I don't have words.
No one never does after he blows their mind. Sean makes you into a thinker. That's what he does.
1%
And I
of the
already think,
population.
but it's like, to me, it's not thinking right now. It's like, I don't know. It's not thinking. Because I already do a lot of that.
Yeah, 1% of the population think. 2% think they think. The other 97% would rather die than think.
Yikes. Okay, maybe I'm the 2%. I don't know.
So when you ask somebody, what do you think? And they say, not much. It's the first time they were telling the truth in a while.
Well, and sometimes, Ashley, it's not necessarily thinking, it's thinking less and getting more. Because it's that whole, whenever someone said in the comments earlier, is having the right questions. Every one of y'all read that and went, oh my gosh, I got to write down 967 questions. When in reality, Sean asked like between 3 to 6 questions at the most. So don't say I want to stop thinking. Say I need to learn just the few things I need to think about. I need to key in on just the few things I need to think about. And then as you think of those things, this will all fall into place. Because I was in the same place as you. I was a thinker. Girl, I couldn't sleep to save my life. I thought myself into a disease that almost killed me. I thought myself right into it. And it wasn't until I reined back I gotta think about everything as opposed to I gotta think about a few things. What's that quote? It's not about doing a whole bunch of things. It's about doing a few things very well. How's that go?
That's basically it.
So that it's the same thing with your thinking, because you don't want to say, I don't want to think. Yeah, no, please don't do that. Don't add to the 98% of the population. We like that you think, but it's just thinking about a few things that will keep you in alignment with how your brain was designed to work.
Huh.
Say that better for me, Sean.
The reason your brain is absolutely thinking right now, but it's trying to think of what it needs to stop thinking of. Say, well,
yeah. Wow. Great. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is predictable. My point is that you're trying to, right? What's the web address that you need to go to get on this call? Personal undevelopment.
Yeah.
So right now I'm undeveloping a whole bunch of stories that you stacked up and we're giving the books back to Goodwill. Let somebody else read those books. Stay in love. Love yourself when you go to sleep. You'll love yourself when you wake up. I don't care if you sleep 3 hours a day. Somebody looked at me right now. They go, well, you had a good night's sleep last night. Yes, I did. They don't even know I've been up for 24 hours or 48 hours tomorrow. I may be up all night tonight again because I'm so excited about what I'm doing right now. Oh, by the way, you may want to invite some people tomorrow because I'm going to have Amy Novato, and she's going to come on and teach us how to breathe and reduce stress in our life. And the reason that she's going to be so powerful, you've heard of marathons, right? Have you heard of ultra marathons? Ultra marathons are 100-mile long marathons.
Whoa.
She runs those, and people hire her to run that. She runs them in from mile 60 to 100 and teaches them how to breathe so that when they cross the finish line, they're not collapsing. It's all about breath and moving your rib cage so that your hips can be in alignment. And when we've forgotten how to breathe, and she will teach you how to breathe. So I would invite as many people as you want to learn how to breathe and deal with the stress of this right now. She's in my mastermind with Kyle Wilson. I love her to death. She's this little peanut of a woman. You look at her, she can't be 100 pounds soaking wet. And she'll do 100-mile marathons. 100-mile. She'll teach us how to breathe tomorrow. She's going to be on. So invite your mom, your dad, anybody. Bring a straw, because she's going to teach you how to breathe through a straw and change the way. It's an amazing dynamic. I forgot to tell everybody that before they shut off, but I'm going to tell you this, that'll change your business. If you can breathe when you're doing presentations, if you breathe when you go to sleep at night, you'll sleep like a baby. So
She's be on morning.
she'll be on tomorrow morning. Yeah. She's in Arizona.
Can you send a little?
Yeah, I'm going to put some notes out in Facebook and other places. She's sending me a headshot now for my marketing team to do some stuff. Her name is
Awesome. Thanks.
PBH is the net. Where's my Facebook? Facebook. So sorry about that, Ashley. It just hit me. I'm a guy. I have a memory like an ice rink. It slips right away. So what'd you learn? What'd you like? What'd you learn? What'd you like, Ashley?
Back to the whole notion of doing less is more, but also understanding that I've got to undevelop a lot of the thoughts that I've kept that I felt were necessary.
Yep.
And come back to simplifying it. Because I realize, like, some days when I'm in that space,
yep,
I feel so much better, and I'm so much more, not even, I would say focused, but a lot more present. Because
Yep.
that's like something that I've been working on too, is working on actually being present in moments. Because a lot of
No, I'm just sharing the screen. Somebody asked what's her name. That's her,
so I
Amy.
can take a picture of it. Perfect.
The botany.
But yeah, I think, and I can even feel a difference now to where it's less like thinking or overthinking, at least.
So, because when people ask me, so what do you think? My answer to most people when I was very snarky was, I don't get paid to think. I'm not in a think tank. I'm not a scientist. I don't get paid to think. So if you want to ask me something, ask me a different way.
Huh.
In a woman's brain, I say this with all love and respect, is like the Energizer Bunny given crack and then run through a cocaine bath and then with a highball before it gets out of the pool.
Stop.
And he's not wrong.
No, he's right. He's right.
And that's just like when everything's calm. Come on. Give me something else to think about. Give me something else to think about. Yeah. What was that? I just went peed in my pants. Now I get back to work.
It's literally how my brain operates some days.
Yeah. It's crazy. I'm like, poor thing. Dekaya, you have your hand up, my love.
I don't know why when you called my name, I like jumped. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh my goodness. Well, random, but I finally found Waldo on this cup. My grandma's had this like since I was a kid, and I don't know, random. I finally found him, and
my day is, my life is complete now.
yeah, I was like, you know what? I was like, I don't remember what you said, but I was like, you know what? I still know where Waldo is, and I found him.
That is the secret to life. I just found, I'm putting that on a meme somewhere. If Rob Cardenas is still on here, he's putting that on a t-shirt. I have no doubt. I just found Waldo. Misfit magic.
Right. And I was just so amazed by it. And and he was like the third person I looked at. So I just never thought to find him. And it even says on the inside of the cup, let me not tilt it. There's Waldo. But you know what? You know why? Now that I think of it, I'm left-handed and this is a right-handed cup, so I don't normally see it. And I guess that's why I was like,
Really?
where's Waldo?
A coffee cup is right-handed?
Yeah, well, I mean, not like that, but like you can only see the writing like when I hold it with my right hand.
I get it. I get it. But I didn't
Yeah.
know there were right-handed cups. I got to throw all mine out then. Damn it. I'm glad I have ones like this.
I know, right? You know what though?
We're punch drunk right now. Go ahead.
I don't really remember where my question went. I
Ask
just-
Waldo.
Right? Now I gotta find him. But I've here lately, I really want to read The Catcher in the Rye, and
Ooh, love it.
I want to read 1984
Yeah.
again. And I just feel like it really relates to me and my situation. I feel like I'm in this in between. And it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's weird, but like, I'm a little scared, but like, I'm not. But should I be? I'm just running in circles right now. And then the questions that I wrote down, I'm just like, my mind is like going in like 10 different directions.
Cool. How long will it go in 10 different directions?
Not for long. I think I have like questions that I need to answer for myself.
Would be the first one you'd want to answer.
What do others see in me that I'm not seeing in myself? And what am I holding on to?
So why don't you ask that in social media and get an answer?
Huh. Okay.
What do you see in me that I don't see in me? Then you'll at least have that question answered and you won't be running in circles. And then you can go on to number 2. But I
Okay,
asked
that's
the
a
right
great
question,
start.
so you need to write that one down. That's another good question you can write down.
But man, yeah, that's really all for the day. Where's Waldo? I'm gonna find him.
Waldo's holding the key. Find him.
Yes.
Brittany, you've been waiting patiently. You have your hand up, my dear.
Yeah, I wanted to talk more about the fear and overcoming the fear of
That universe, boy.
Yeah, sounds like you're punch drunk because we're hearing you sound like this.
I thought it was just me.
Wait, you guys can't hear me?
Now we
You
can.
sounded
Now we
real
can.
slow.
Oh, I said I wanted to. Okay. I said that that I wanted to talk more about the fear of breaking through the fear of my own potential.
Yep. So which one of you holds the fear?
The whole of me, actually, probably.
No. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fear. It'd be depression.
Why not?
It'd be depression.
Hmm.
Depression takes
Why?
over the whole body. Fear is just a part of the body.
You
Fears-
couldn't talk if you were in fear.
Fear is fear is just you, right? What do we say? False evidence appearing real, blah, blah, blah. Fear is the way of the heart, the way of the brain keeping the heart out of play.
Okay, so this goes back to that head over heart thing that I'm dealing with.
Yep. What would your heart say? Is your heart scared? Paulo Coelho in the manuscript found in the cross said, "No heart has ever been injured on its true journey."
Yeah, I remember you said that before and I wrote it down. I liked it.
Sean just said, "Blah blah blah." What? Yeah. So just pay attention to what your heart says. What does your heart say right now?
Literally?
Yeah.
Do it.
And if you asked your heart, what do I have
What
to
is
fear?
it?
If you asked your heart, what do I have to fear? What would it say?
The immediate word that popped into my mind is failure, but I never thought that I cared about failure before.
Right. But who would tell you what basis do you have that there's failure
It's
on
a
something you've
financial
never
failure.
done? What's that?
I don't know. Financial failure?
Yeah,
I'm
but-
measuring
well-
it financially.
But if you're going to go do something you've never done, how could failure even enter the picture if you've never done it before? What's the basis it's using?
Law of relativity.
Thanks for playing. Don Pardo, please tell her a departing gift. Where's the only place your brain can get failure from?
Itself, my
It's
memories.
past. It's there you go. The past. Because you haven't done it yet. You're going to go do something you've never done. Why does it immediately go to failure? Because that's the story the past is telling.
So now I beg the question, if I am still alive, have I ever really failed?
Exactly.
Been doing a good job of keeping myself here.
Exactly.
Even-
And anything that you thought you failed, you got through, right?
Sure.
Failure
Yeah.
ends the instant you enter back into an interesting battle. You're in the interesting battle right now, so you can't fail. But why does your story go? What'd you say? The theory of relativity or something about
The law of
law of
relativity.
relativity. Where
Which
did that
basically
come
means,
from?
because it basically means that nothing is what it is until we relate it to something else, which
Right.
is
That's what
my
quantum
memories.
mechanics is. That's why it's so hard to get why quantum physics works, because nothing exists until you measure it. And so what are you using to measure your future? Your
Right.
past.
Right, which is extremely an inadequate scale.
Exactly. So which part, but your heart can't use the past. The heart doesn't have that memory. The brain has that memory. So why don't you listen to your heart? I'm saying.
I wonder if I'm insecure. Do you think?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
But I know that's not something you want to hear, but yes, you are. But you're shocked.
I mean, I asked the question and
I know,
looked for
but
it.
but you wouldn't expect me to say it like that quickly. Oh my God, really?
No, not really.
You're a very strong woman. You're wildly strong. You can stand up for yourself. But when it comes to standing in the mirror, listen, and I know this is going to sound crazy. You know I love you.
Tell it,
You
lay it
don't-
on me, please.
Please don't answer this out loud. But this is for every woman. How do you feel standing naked in front of a mirror?
Don't answer it.
No, please don't. But
Oh.
if you answer that question to your head in your own head, if you can't stand naked in front of a mirror, then guess who's showing up all of the time like a little kid naked trying to ask these questions going, excuse me, I'd like to set a goal, please. Could I get some time on stage? Yes, take off all your clothes and walk out there naked. You can set any goal you want. I'll sit over here. Thank you. Wear the fuggliest dress you have and go out there and you can ask us for anything you want. We'll give you any goal you want. No, that's okay. I'll sit here in the front row and just complain silently to myself. That's what raw is, right? That's what tears are, us looking at ourselves and realizing we're whole as we are right now. How far away is the money that you want? And as long as it's out there, that's where it'll always be. Soon as it's in here, you have it. Well, why can't I put it in here? Because somebody told you that once you've reached a certain length, the certain level of income, you got to blow it. Okay, let me see if I can do that again.
Okay, I was gone. I got kicked off.
Aw, that was good stuff.
Oh,
I believe it. But so this is that's funny that you said that, because I actually was looking at myself naked in the mirror one day, and it's crazy because one day I feel one way and the other day I feel another. So one day some days I'm like, yeah, I like this. Yeah.
and she's gone again.
Mm-hmm.
Holy, holy, Holy Spirit.
Holy, holy, Holy Spirit.
And he don't want her to talk
I
or do
almost
anything
spit what I was
today.
drinking from Rhonda's reaction.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang, because I feel like whatever she had to say was going to be important for a lot of people, but
It is.
I'm wrong.
It is. That's why she keeps cutting out. It's not meant for her to say it. He's cutting her off. No slow talking, no anything. Just get off.
What is wrong with everyone?
I'm melting. I'm melting. That's what I'm doing. I'm like, cool. We done hit another level.
Okay, I'm here again.
Got a fan.
Another half
Yes.
hour, she'll be naked in front of the mirror.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Okay. So in one of the things about someone looking at themselves naked in front of the mirror, what it triggered within me was that, hey, if I see these things about my body that dissatisfy me, all of the power is within me to change those things. So if I continue to do things and participate in habits that don't change these things, I'm ultimately letting myself down, and I'm putting myself below anything else. And this is, I've worked myself through a weight journey before, and it's just like, so is this piece of fried food or this processed meat or this alcohol or this drug or this whatever it so be, whatever vice that I may have at the point of time, is this cancer, is this diabetes, is this high blood pressure or high cholesterol, is that more important? Is that stronger? Does that take precedence over who I am? No. So why would I, even in a small amount, allow it to take over who I am, and then continue to do that until it really takes up, when it starts to take over, it gets to the point where it takes over your body, then it takes over your spirit,
Yep.
takes over your head.
So
And
then how do you
that's
do that? How do you do that then with every thought? You got to pay attention to every thought. If you only eat 3 times a day and you eat, I don't know, maybe 200 chews, 300 chews per seating, but you have 70,000 thoughts. That's, so say you chewed 1,000 times in a day, but you have 70,000 thoughts. That's why it's easier to pick what food you eat than it is to control what thought you have.
But then, Brittany, I'm gonna jump in real quick and I'll let Sean talk. I had that same thing.
You'll let Sean talk.
Well, oh, sorry, my bad, Sean. It's not what I meant, but yeah.
I know it's just funny though.
When it comes to like health and stuff, because I had the same problem too, where I was able to lose 14 pounds in a month, but I realized I had to come to a point where, like you said, you have the power to change whatever you don't like. And so it's you coming to a decision where there's no other option.
Exactly.
You can't go back to what you were doing. Because at the end of the day, regardless of everything else we're trying to do, the first thing that you have is your health. And without your health, you don't have an able body to be able to do or help or communicate with any of the other people that your lives may be attached to. So for me, it was making a decision first that I didn't like to see who I was becoming, and understanding that I had the power to make the difference, and being disciplined enough to see that my choice to work on my health was for something bigger, not just my health, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for you, like, I understand you can have alcohol, you can have fried foods, but for you, it's coming to a decision, what is more important and why are you doing what you're doing?
Exactly. That's what
and
I'm
you
saying.
don't have any other options to be otherwise. And
Exactly.
then you'll do it.
Exactly. Because I think I've spoken with someone about this before. It gets to the point that you're just doing shit with no purpose. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? You know what I'm saying? And because it's this built up negative habits that lead to one big thing. Because someone said, and this is so funny, but someone said, everybody want to protect themselves against the coronavirus, but nobody wants to use condoms, and people still get AIDS. And I said, and when I responded to that, I was like, because with AIDS, you die slower. Right now, what we see about the coronavirus, we're hearing people that are getting diagnosed and dying in 2 to 3 days. It doesn't work like that with AIDS. It doesn't work like that with cancer. It doesn't work like that with diabetes. It slowly takes a toll over your life. And people have tricked themselves to thinking that, wow, a slow death is better than a fast death. But at the end, it's still death. And you're still allowing yourself to die over time. Wow, so that makes sense. So me not jumping ahead over my fear, my hurdle of fear, I'm allowing myself to die over time. Wow.
And has it come to anybody's attention how sheeple people are? Because we've got to tell them to stay home when, if you listen to any of the news, you'd be staying
You
your
would have
butt
just
home.
stayed home anyways.
Right. So the government only has control over our health. They have no control over our wealth. And we don't even want to listen to them helping us to control our health. There's still people having parties and stuff. So, that's why my business
that's a whole
skyrocketed.
nother story.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a whole nother topic because
Because
people.
I'm like, the government actually does have control over our health, but
I mean, you do, but people. The problem is now with this, people don't even want to listen to other people trying to look out for their own health. I was like, you won't even look out for your own. Somebody else is trying to advise you to look out for your own, and you won't even listen to them.
well, I think what it is that how everybody's putting it, it's like, hey, social distance so you can save someone else, and people now they're selfish. People are selfish. And it's not.
People would
It's like,
rather talk
well, why
about.
can't I go outside? Why can't I do what I want to do? I want to do this. It's not about you. It's about people. It's about other people. It's about coming together as a community to save everyone's lives. People don't.
I mean, and it's about you too, though, because people also have to realize that they say that elderly people and people that have already pre-existing health conditions are more inclined. But I have friends that have told me people that are 27, 25 get this and end up being on ventilators in 3 days. So to me, it's like, oh, did you cut out again?
No, I'm here.
Oh,
my God,
okay.
am I here? Oh.
It's honestly just making a decision, but I guess people are not. I don't know. Maybe Sean can give like good light on this because I wonder, because I was like just seeing some people's thoughts in regards to like home quarantine. I don't think that it's that bad. That's just me.
Well, you see, and that's what I was saying. You don't think that's bad. I don't think it's that bad. And I was just telling my friend, I said, I cannot fathom what a life would be like if I hadn't had this specific community, and if I wasn't doing personal development and I was sitting at home with my misery and being forced to face myself. Everybody doesn't have that privilege to have a free mind or have to always be in a positive state, even physically, to be in a home. Some people are in homes with abusers. Some people are in very poor homes that they don't have food. They don't have the quote unquote essentials. You know what I'm saying? My friend and I, we sit here and we from sun up till we knock out, we are in a constant state of happiness because this is the life that we are happy. We like, yes, everything is back to normal. It's not that many planes. It's like people are speaking to each other. Like we can go outside. It's not crowded. But there are people who, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yes, we're so excited. We got flowers, we drink wine, we light the fire, we cooking, we singing, we dancing, like we back in old country. You know what I'm saying? But there are some people who don't have that luxury. They're at home. There are people who would go out in the world and busy themselves with a whole bunch of shit so they didn't have to sit and face themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like the person that they're seeing, they're getting on their own nerves, essentially. They're getting on their own nerves. And so it's either you're gonna put up or you're gonna shut up. You're gonna sink or you're gonna swim. Either you're gonna face yourself and use this time to come out a better person, or you not. Because or you not.
I don't know. I guess sometimes, and maybe Sean or Rhonda can answer this. Like, it frustrates me sometimes because, like, I have friends that will message me and they'll check up on me and see how I'm doing, and I'm like, for the most part, like, I'm fine. Like, I have somewhere, like, I have a house, I have food. I understand that we're inside, but I'm healthy. I can go out in the backyard, look at the sun, and be in nature and be happy. But I see so many other people just struggling. Like, this is really taking a toll on them, and I don't really know how to,
really is.
Feel.
And someone put up a post and it was like, I don't mean to brag, but what a time to be childless. And I was thinking, I was like, that's a weird flex, but I get it because I don't have kids. But how would I feel if I did have children? And a lot of people were aborting their kids. You know what I'm saying? Like people weren't spending time with their kids for real. Like we interact with each other, but we don't know each other. On here, on this call, on this platform, we know each other. Why? Because we allow people to know. We got into the space where we can understand what people not saying and we can get to the root of stuff. But a lot of people are so distracted that they in a house with people that they don't even know. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like everybody doesn't have that affordability that we have, the privilege that we have. And it's
But keep in mind
unfortunate, but that's
also,
just the
a lot of the
reality.
posts, no, a lot of the posts and a lot of the comments you're seeing, remember, misery loves company.
Absolutely.
A lot of it's just misery loves company. And it goes back to human behaviors, what Sean started the call with, is hearing what they're saying without them saying it and seeing where they're speaking from. And when you see that, you'll understand why they're saying what they're saying.
And it's like so many people are speaking from the same place.
It's a choice.
It's true.
It definitely is a choice, but it's the lack of realization for me. I'm just like, are y'all, are y'all really this blind? Well, my favorite word, are y'all really this stupid? Y'all are stupid. Y'all are stupid.
I feel
here's a fun thought. Wait a second. Here's a really fun thought. If you want to practice some of the things that Sean taught us at the beginning of this call, there's no better time than right now with some of the posts on social media with your friends.
Absolutely.
That's smart.
Perfect time.
But another thing that I've realized is that the more I'm on quarantine, the more I want to interact with my phone, the more I want to space myself away from people, because this whole group think sheeple bull stuff that's going on all around the internet, I can't. I'm seeing people, it just literally doesn't make sense. I'm seeing people with gloves on and they're outside touching stuff, and then they're texting on their phone and they're putting the phone to their face. And I'm like, are you really that? You're not protecting yourself. How you think? It's the illusion. I'm seeing people walking around with gloves on, but they're eating food that they just bought outside with those same gloves on. And it's like, you really can't be that impressionable.
But it's
how can you?
So how many people are walking through their life with their gloves on and trying to get better and better in their development and their personal development, and they're just cross-contaminating?
Everybody.
So many people, 98%.
Everybody.
So then the question is, do you have gloves on? The question to ask yourself is, do I have gloves on? And if I have, when have I put my gloves on, and what have I cross-contaminated? And does that require me to lose joy when I see that?
You know what, that makes sense, because it's like, okay, let's just say, for instance, now I don't got no gloves on, but then when I approach somebody that I deem stupid, I put my gloves on, and then I touch them because I want to heal them, and then I forget to take my gloves off, and I just F myself up again. And now I'm back in flow. I'm back in flow, but I'm out of flow. I'm like, dang, now I gotta go get on the call again at 7:30.
Well, there you go, folks. Another wonderful 3-hour session.
Wow, long time.
We ain't got nothing else to do. We all in the house.
Short time.
Well, time doesn't really fly.
Actually, I'm about to call you too. Like,
I knew you were about to. I was about to say something about that.
Yeah, anyway. To talk about your sleep pattern.
Yeah, we'll talk
Sean,
about it.
Thank you, Sean, for being here so long with us and loving on us.
Thank you, Sean.
I love y'all.
And everybody.
Thank you, Sean.
Whole bunch of stupid people, but I'm good with it.
Thank you so much, Sean.
Thank you. Y'all. Well, thank y'all. Listen, so tomorrow, 8:30, my time, 9:30 y'all. And Dr. Amy is going to be on here, and she's going to, you'll be amazed at that little process. So invite people. It's the same link, right? So just invite them, and I want to help her grow her business. So she's good. All right, y'all. Love you tons. I'm Sean Murphy, founder of Mental Profits. I'll see y'all where? At the next event. Y'all send some love to each other.
Bye, y'all. Love y'all.
Family.
You guys have a great day.
Have a blessed day.
You guys have a great day.
Yay.
Y'all take your gloves off.
Go find Waldo.
Gloves are never on. No fear this way.
That's right, girl.
Go find Waldo.
I gotta lose some
Y'all.
keys.
Yeah.
I know.